deported because the offense was an aggravated felony. An appeals court later denied his request to review the case, but the U.S. Supreme Court overruled those decisions on Tuesday, saying that the conviction did not qualify as sexual abuse of a minor because Esquivel Quintana's girlfriend was 16 at the time of the incident. Because the U.S. Supreme Court said the offense was not clearly defined in the Federal Immigration and Nationalization Act, Esquivel Quintana does not face deportation. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports an Ohio police officer who fatally shot a 12-year-old boy in 2014 was fired on Tuesday after an internal investigation found he provided inaccurate information on his application to join the police, according to city officials. Timothy Lohman, a rookie with the Cleveland Division of Police, shot Tamir Rice as he played in a playground with a toy gun that fired pellets in what was one of a string of killings that fueled protest against the use of deadly force by police in the U.S., particularly against minorities. Cleveland Director of Public Safety Michael McGrath said in a news conference, Patrol Officer Lohman had been charged with a rule violation concerning his application process to be considered a cadet with the Division of Police, specifically answers he provided on his personal history statement. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Do you sometimes feel that healthy eating can be a lot of work with very little reward? Well, no need to worry any longer. Here are the Onion's tips for healthy eating. First, identify your weaknesses, and then condition yourself to avoid problem foods by associating them with deceased relatives, unrequited loves, and traumatic events. Remember, alcohol is a source of empty calories, so be sure to keep your drinking under control. Unless you're really stressed out, like if something happens at work, or if your cat gets hit by a car. If you find yourself suddenly craving a fatty food, let yourself enjoy the best of both worlds. Tape a slice of ham to your tongue and slowly absorb the taste throughout the day without swallowing. Stay motivated by paying yourself $1 every day until you meet your weight loss goals. At the end of 10 years' time, spend that cash on a cosmetic operation of your choice. There, now you're ready to begin your new healthy lifestyle.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll free and bring up whatever you want. Our number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype, and you may Skype on in here at Skype username LRN.FM. Joining you in our studio tonight, it's Ian,
Darryl,
and Mark.
And, well, not good news. We do not have good news to share with you about Ross Ulbricht, the man who is currently serving a double life sentence plus, 40 years or something like that, for running a website, for creating a program that allowed people to buy and sell the things that they wanted to on the Internet. They put this guy in prison. He's like 30-ish years old, very young. They put him in prison because he made a website.
Yep.
And there was an appeal that we had talked to his mother, Lynn. We've had her on the show a number of times over the years because this has been going on since he was initially arrested, I believe, in October of 2013.
Yes.
For operating the Silk Road, which was at the time the world's most renowned, infamous underground marketplace on the Tor network, which stands for the Onion Router. It's an anonymizing system, supposedly, for the Internet. And they just, not only did they throw the book at him to send a message.
The whole library.
Because, people who were selling heroin on his website, they got, 5 to 10 years.
Right.
Ross, who programmed the site, that's speech. When you write programming, you're typing words into a computer, and the computer compiles those words into an executable piece of software that can run. Programming is speech.
Yes.
And this is supposed to be a free country. There's the pesky First Amendment that the First Amendment still exists that says you have a right to freedom of speech.
Have you not seen the redacted version of the Bill of Rights?
Maybe. Does it have a bunch of black
Yeah,
the word.
basically, almost all of it is blacked out except for, Congress shall make laws infringing.
So, yeah, and we knew that there was an appeal that was proceeding, and obviously, his mom, Lynn, surely she wanted to believe that there was a possibility of its success. I think we all did.
It really seemed like it. I mean, it was such a messed up case. I couldn't believe that it would make it through an appellate court.
You mean like with the fact that there were at least 2 cops who have gone to prison who were on his investigative team that were guilty and pled guilty for corruption. They were trying to steal money from the money that was confiscated by the government.
No, they weren't trying to steal money. They did steal money.
Also, all the things that they couldn't talk about in trial. The ways that they were, the jury was manipulated.
Oh yeah, this judge was obviously, her mind was made up. She was on the side of the prosecution from day one and did all kinds of just untoward and inappropriate things legally that seemed just obviously biased and not fair. This was not a fair trial. It was not justice in any way, shape, or form. And you thought that maybe there was a chance that one of the points, because there was a multitude of points, we've just touched on some of them, that the appeals attorneys were making in their case, that one of the points would have stuck, would have resulted in a mistrial, maybe another trial, another chance where the full evidence could be brought to light. Like, for instance, the fact that after Ross Ulbricht was put into federal custody, where he would have no access to a computer, the fact that somebody logged into the Dread Pirate Roberts account, the administrator's account that was supposedly his account, after he'd been put into prison, somebody logged into that account, that could go in front of a jury in a retrial and give him a chance at seeing some light of day at the end of this dark tunnel that he's in. But negating the evidence that these corrupt agents had collected, throwing that out because fruit of the poisonous tree. If these corrupt agents are guilty of stealing and being dishonest, then how is it that any of the evidence that they have collected should be considered on the up and up?
Well, without getting too far into this article, and I did read the article from Wired, the judge basically says, it doesn't really make any difference that there were corrupt agents.
Is it one judge?
No, it must have been a panel.
It was a panel of judges from the Second Circuit. But, generally there's one judge that writes the opinion and the other judges agree to the opinion. So, whoever it was or jointly written whatever, they basically said, it doesn't matter that there were corrupt people.
Evidence is evidence.
Basically, yes.
Yeah. So after more than 5 years, this according to Wired.com, and Andy Greenberg, who has been reporting on the Silk Road for quite a long time. He was one of the people who was actually attending the trial, and some of our friends went down to that trial as well, including Derek J. Freeman from Victimless Crime Spree and more. Anyway, after more than 5 years, the saga of the Dread Pirate Roberts has ended, and the founder of the Silk Road has lost his last chance of escaping a lifetime in prison. On Wednesday, a Second Circuit appellate court rejected the appeal of Ross Ulbricht, who 2 years ago was sentenced to life in prison without parole for creating and running the Silk Road, a massive dark web drug market.
All right, so before we get too far, I want to have a little bit of hope, and when I say a little bit, I mean like, a microscopic, tiny bit of hope that hopefully in 4 or 8 years there's a president that's not completely horrible that would at least commute the sentence, even if not a full pardon, just commute the sentence.
Like happened with Chelsea Manning?
Yes. And again, when I say a tiny amount of hope,
That's
talking
a real small,
microscopic.
Yeah.
You know the scene from Dumb and Dumber where 1 in a million. Oh, so you're saying there's a chance. Like 1 in a million would still be very large compared to the amount of hope that I have, but still, there's a sliver.
I hope you're right about that. But I guess that's the only way he's getting out at this point.
Is this a conviction in New York State or is this federal court conviction?
This is federal.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Darryl. I don't have that sliver of hope.
Like I said, it's microscopic.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like a grain of sand compared to the entire galaxy. Is how
the only way it would happen is
my little piece of hope is
if there was some major drug reform that happened also at that same time frame.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I would have had more hope that Obama would have done it than I do that Trump would do it.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is in at least
I know
for another...
Trump's not going to do it. That's why I said in 4 or 8 years.
I mean, 4 years, that's when he's going out. The new president...
He's going for re-election.
Presidents don't pardon on their way in. They pardon on their way out. I mean, you basically have to have Harry Brown, the personified, the new
libertarian presidential candidate from '96 and 2000.
Yeah, you have to have the new Harry Brown step in, say, we're ending the drug war and all.
Well,
its
he'd be
stupidity.
pardoned first day if it was Harry Brown.
Right. That's
one of the things that Harry Brown. That was one of his campaign promises, was that his first day in office, he would not only bring the troops home from around the globe, but he would also pardon all nonviolent, victimless criminals.
Right.
So, back to the story here from Greenberg over at Wired.com. Ulbricht had used the Dread Pirate Roberts pseudonym and had persistently fought his conviction for crimes including drug trafficking and money laundering, as well as his unexpectedly harsh life sentence. He and his lawyers pointed to what they described as illegal searches in the investigation, the involvement of at least 2 federal agents now proven to be corrupt, and Ulbricht's draconian punishment for what they described as nonviolent crimes. The 3-judge appellate panel nonetheless affirmed the decision of the lower court, albeit with notes of muted criticism of American drug laws. This is the most bizarre part of this particular story. Quote, this from the judge's opinion. Quote, reasonable people may and do disagree about the social utility of harsh sentences for the distribution of controlled substances, or even of criminal prohibition of their sale and use at all. They continued saying, quote, it is very possible that, at some future point, we will come to regard these policies as tragic mistakes and adopt less punitive and more effective methods of reducing the incidence and costs of drug use. And we'll continue their quote here.
Yeah, continue the quote, definitely.
The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We will continue, and you can share your thoughts with us here on Ross Ulbricht. It's Free Talk Live.
Last week at Consensus 2017, a cryptocurrency conference in New York City, an agreement was made between 56 companies, representing 83% of the hashing power for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is an international internet currency that has, of late, taken the tech world by storm. In the agreement, they pledged to implement segregated witness, a long-needed patch for the Bitcoin software, at 80% acceptance instead of 95%, and increase the Bitcoin block size, relieving pressure on the network and lowering prices for transactions. This compromise is supported by the former head developer of Bitcoin, Gavin Andreessen, and Bitcoin.com's Roger Ver, along with 83% of the Bitcoin miners. Some of the core developers and the influential organization Blockstream do not support it, however. Although the finish line is not yet crossed, it may be in sight, and we here at Free Talk Live, along with most of you, breathe a sigh of relief, hoping that this opens the door to the continuation of the most important piece of software since the Internet. Find out more at Bitcoin.com.
It's been said, any society is only 3 missed meals away from chaos. Those times may be near. Think about it. Our country faces multiple terrorist threats and aggressions from Russia and North Korea. Social unrest and violent marches yet again may lead to looting of stores and city shutdowns. And our crumbling infrastructure leaves our power grid vulnerable to long-term outages from a single cyber attack. When the chaos from any one of these threats arises, the government knows it can't provide during a widespread national emergency. That's why you need your own plan for self-reliance. That's where My Patriot Supply comes in. Get a 4-week survival food supply for only $99. That includes breakfast, lunches, and dinners. Order online at preparewithgcn.com. $99 for 4 weeks of survival food that tastes like homemade cooking and lasts up to 25 years. From My Patriot Supply. Get your kits today at preparewithgcn.com. Free shipping is included. Preparewithgcn.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. you'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may dial on in toll-free here at 855-450-FREE. More about the Silk Road. The most recent verdict, not good for the future of Ross Ulbricht, the creator of the Silk Road, the world's most infamous and amazing and successful, or at least for its time, underground marketplace. Of course, the federal government wanted to send a message by sending him to prison for the rest of his life, plus another lifetime, and then some beyond that. But apparently the message wasn't really heard on the darknet because there's plenty of underground darknet marketplaces that exist today. There are probably more than we could easily rattle off. There's usually new ones popping up all the time, many of them with thousands of listed items at any given moment in time. So if anything, there's more proliferation of these markets than there was back in 2011 and 2013.
Right. To some extent, it's the Streisand effect. Of we don't want this. Oh, you don't want it? Okay, here's more.
Yep. And so, no crackdown is going to stop the black marketplace. They're just going to get more inventive. They're going to get more creative. And they're going to get better at, hiding their marketplace origin, where the servers are and things like that, and make it more difficult for the various federal agencies from around the globe to follow them. Anyway, Bitcoin.com has been reporting on this messy situation behind the scenes of Bitcoin. It is maybe going to clear up. There's a supposed consensus that was reached about a week ago where they say they are going to, within 6 months, start fixing some of these major problems with the Bitcoin system, the Bitcoin network that is currently full of transactions. They're supposed to be increasing the block size and more, introducing this segregated witness technology that's supposed to make things better, and make it so the more transactions can be processed per second or per minute. And Bitcoin.com's been reporting on this the whole time with the crazy transaction fees that have increased by more than 1,200% since just 2015 and have been shooting up a lot more in just the last couple of months. You go to news.bitcoin.com. You can follow along with the latest on what's happening in the Bitcoin universe. That's news.bitcoin.com. And, of course, Bitcoin's tied in here with the Silk Road. It was, to some extent, Bitcoin the Silk Road, rather, is one of the things that I think helped put Bitcoin on the map. I mean, I realize that there are some people who want to poo-poo Bitcoin's not just for drugs. Well, obviously it's not. It's like cash for the internet. But people use cash for drugs, too.
At a higher percentage.
What do you mean?
So I found something recently showing, what the percentage of Bitcoin transactions used for quote-unquote illegal activity, and it was really small, like 0.5% or something, or it might have been 5%. But, in either case, small percentage. The percentage of cash that is used for illegal activity is close to 10%.
Wow. For real?
Yes.
I thought it was only like double or something like that, like 1%.
Right, so 5% to 10%.
Is double.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so it
I thought you
must
said
have,
0.5%. I apologize.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if there was the decimal point, but now
It's
that I
hard to
think about
believe
it,
that
there was not.
10% of cash is used for illegal activities, but I guess Americans use a lot of credit cards.
So, yeah, that's a good point. Anyway, let's see, where was I going? Yeah, Bitcoin.com. Go check out news.bitcoin.com. So we were sharing with you the Wired.com story about today's terrible news out of an appellate court. The Second Circuit Appellate Court decided that Ross Ulbricht, he's going to stay right where he is in federal prison, and there will be no retrial. There will be no resentencing, which were a couple of the hopes that those of us who wanted to see something happen here
A new
were
trial
hoping for.
makes a hell of a lot of sense in this case. I mean, I just
Given
don't
the corrupt
understand.
agents that have been convicted and sent to prison.
And new evidence has been, this is, I don't understand.
Well, evidence, not only new evidence, but evidence they had but were not allowed to bring to trial.
Right, so those two things are enough to get you a new trial in just about every circumstance imaginable. The fact that somebody logged in as Dread Pirate Roberts when he was in jail is enough new evidence to get a new trial. The fact that information was disallowed in trial that clearly should have been allowed in trial.
You're using logic.
I mean, the law is supposed to be based on logic. I understand that these judges' job was to see whether or not this person received a fair trial, and this person did not receive a fair trial. I cannot understand how they came to the conclusion that they came to. But and especially with this lip service to the drug war and against the drug war.
Yeah. So let's finish the quote because. Just part of the quote makes it sound like, oh, yeah, well, maybe you should think about changing something at some point.
They say that it's very possible at some future point, this is the court's opinion, we will come to regard these policies as tragic mistakes and adopt less punitive and more effective methods of reducing the incidence and costs of drug use. I mean, that's almost a statement from the court saying that they believe there are more effective methods and that there are less punitive methods that could be more effective.
It sounds like the Libertarian Party platform plank. I mean, it's that kind of verbiage.
Then the rest of the statement is as follows, quote, at this point in our history, however, the democratically elected representatives of the people have opted for a policy of prohibition backed by severe punishment.
Translation, it's illegal. Therefore, go to jail, go directly to jail, do not pass go, do not collect $200, and die in jail. That's the translation. This is not an anti-prohibitionist ruling at all.
I didn't say it was an anti-prohibitionist ruling.
Imagination.
No, I didn't say that at any point. I said it's strange that they would put language like this in here when they're upholding prohibition. I mean, this statement is completely confusing. While it makes it seem like these judges understand that prohibition's a bad policy.
Oh, they understand, but the law
can't do
says
anything
you go
about
to
it.
jail.
Right.
So therefore, go to jail. Doesn't matter that it's immoral for us to send you to jail for this.
That's right.
It's the law. We have to follow the law. So therefore, go to jail, go directly to jail, do not pass go, do not collect $200.
But they don't have to follow the law.
Well,
they can do whatever they want to do.
That's okay. First off,
they can interpret it how they want.
It is their job to uphold the law, and the law of the land.
Their job is to interpret the law.
They're correct.
Their job is to interpret what the intention of the legislatures was when they wrote this crap.
I don't think there's any mystery as to what the legislators...
And compare it versus the Constitution.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any mystery as to what the legislators intended in this circumstance. I think the ruling
yes, but was it constitutional?
from that standpoint is good. I think the ruling from the standpoint of new evidence and suppressed evidence is illegal, and these judges should have their heads chopped off on, right on the lawn of the White House. That's
what Mark says is for entertainment value only. That is not a true statement.
Oh, well, I think that the government should do it. I think the executive
branch. You gotta be careful. You're threatening judges.
I'm not threatening any judges.
That's what I'm saying. It was for entertainment value.
No. I think that the executive branch should institute a death penalty against judges that suppress that go along with suppressed evidence and that disallow trials for new and clear exculpatory evidence. That is insane to me.
Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. Coming up, we'll talk more about what they said in their ruling where they dismiss all of the arguments on the appeal. This is Free Talk Live.
Do you know what's lurking in your water? More than 200 contaminants could be sitting there, just waiting for your glass. With a ProPure water filter, start enjoying clean and great-tasting water today. ProPure filters, independently tested, latest water filter technology. ProPure systems do not require electricity and are easy to set up and easy to use. To find out more, visit your authorized ProPure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
Anytime, any place, anywhere, radio remains the most intimate of all forms of media. At home, at work, in the car, on smartphones. Over 90% of consumers still listen to radio every week. That makes choosing radio as a place to advertise your business one of the best decisions you can make. Email advertise@gcnlive.com and partner up with an experienced GCN representative. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers, and some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to AgoristHosting.com, click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting, that's AGORIST hosting.com.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of brown rust stains on your toilets, sinks, and clothes? Does your water smell and taste bad? Don't live with these problems anymore. HydroCare's revolutionary well water systems, available at Wave Home Solutions, gives you clean, healthy, great-tasting water from every faucet. They remove iron, hydrogen sulfide, sediment, and many other contaminants that are distasteful and damaging your fixtures. You'll be amazed how fresh and clean well water can be. Satisfaction guaranteed. Go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll free here. Bring up whatever's on your mind. Our number is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, that's 855-450-3733. We're sharing with you the terrible news, but not unexpected news from the Federal Appeals Court, the Second Circuit Appellate Court, which heard the case of Ross Ulbricht, a man who is currently in prison in New York State for federal charges that relate to drug dealing and computer hacking. Conspiracy, I think, is the majority of what he was convicted of. And sentenced to double life in prison plus 40 years. None of that's going to be overturned. Not a single point that the appeal made was accepted by the court. They rejected all of them. And we'll tell you more about that coming up here. I do want to let you know about Freedom's Phoenix. It is a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. If you want the newest and freshest stories and perspective on current events from those who value liberty, then check out freedomsphoenix.com. They've got a daily dispatch, and it's the best way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. Freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. That's freedomsphoenix.com. We're sharing from the Wired article by Andy Greenberg, who has been following the Silk Road case for quite a long time. Remember, we read a number of his pieces on the actual trial that happened over 2 years ago. It was back in early 2015, the wintertime.
He was convicted 2 years and, I believe, 3 days ago?
Oh, right. You mean like sentenced or whatever. I believe he was convicted back in the winter because his trial was in the winter.
That must have been, I just remember, having seen on Facebook a couple days ago and the, Facebook memories thing.
Yeah, it was sentencing.
Posting must have been the sentencing.
So he's in prison, and it doesn't look like he's going to be getting out unless, as Darryl pointed out, we have some sort of semi-human president who actually decides to, cut Ross loose on a commutation or pardoning would be nice, but again, all of these are
would be nice.
Fancy ideas at this point.
Again, it's like 1 grain of sand in the entire universe of hope.
Yeah.
That he'll at least get a commutation. Now, it's not one of these things to where I'm waiting on it, fingers crossed, hold my breath until it happens.
Well, so the prison system is full of opportunities to continue to take your case back for all kinds of relief.
Okay.
Right? There's different opportunities.
So where do they go from here?
Well, they would, they can ask, the judge to reconsider. That
almost never does anything.
Yeah, they can, petition the president for clemency. There's a variety, and I think that they could probably go back on another appeal.
What about the Supreme Court?
I think they would have to go to, and I don't believe it was the full circuit that heard this, so they could petition to have the full circuit hear it.
Okay.
And then after that, I believe, would be Supreme Court. I don't think you can go directly to the Supreme Court without going to the full circuit.
All right. Well,
but again, we're talking about something that is incredibly costly. Just the paperwork.
Yeah.
The paperwork alone on this was damn near $20,000.
Well, you'd think they could just go and hit resubmit and have the full court hear it, but I'm sure it's much more complicated than that.
Right, because you have to have transcripts and all of this other stuff.
Yeah, and those are thousands of dollars.
That's what was nearly $20,000 for this hearing. On an appeal, you're going to need transcripts of
for the whole panel.
Yeah, as though these judges read those 20,000, those entire and complete transcripts of $20,000.
Oh yes, we've read every single word that you submitted. Nope, they scanned stuff.
In its ruling, the appellate court, this is Wired.com, the appellate court addresses and dismisses each of Ulbricht's arguments, starting with his claim that the surveillance of his home, network, Facebook, and Gmail accounts, as well as the seizure and search of his personal laptop, all represented unconstitutional searches. The appellate panel found that contrary to Ulbricht's claims, all of those investigative techniques were backed by a warrant and legal under modern readings of the Fourth Amendment.
Now, here's what's unusual. And maybe it's just, Wired not covering a specific detail, but the way that the FBI allegedly found the server has still never been explained in court.
That's right. That's one of the things that the judge managed to avoid having talked about, which would have been very enlightening because we have no idea. They never had to show that chain of evidence, which is normally very important when it comes to evidence. How did you get here? How did you find this?
Having read the FBI agent's written report of how he found it, it could best be summarized as a magical leprechaun on a flying unicorn told me where it was, because what he actually said does not stand up to the way computers work.
Not according to security experts who looked at the statement.
And even if it did, it would be outside of the realm of legality for what the FBI is allowed to do to get computer evidence.
Far more unusual in Ulbricht's case was the involvement of two now convicted, who pled guilty, by the way, corrupt federal agents. Secret Service agent Sean Bridges stole hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of Bitcoin from the Silk Road. DEA agent Karl Mark Force, I believe the fourth, attempted to extort Ulbricht and even sold him secret information from the Silk Road investigation. Ulbricht's lawyers argued that both agents influenced the Silk Road investigation and at times had access to the Silk Road servers that could have been used to frame their client, Ross.
I.e., they could have made up evidence,
the whole thing,
and put it on the server.
Now, we know that Ross was involved at some point in the Silk Road because they admitted that in the opening statement of their defense.
Right, but that doesn't mean that every word in the chat log was
his,
accurate and his.
Right. Not only does it not mean that they were not necessarily his words because it was under a character named Dread Pirate Roberts, the operator of the website, but it also means that it wasn't even necessarily anyone who was Dread Pirate Roberts, and that it could have been Karl Mark Force or this other guy,
Correct.
Bridges. So
we
don't know.
Them chatting back and forth to one another. One signed in as Dread Pirate Roberts because, as Mark mentioned earlier...
Well, so that it was Dread Pirate Roberts. I was wondering what you were trying to get there.
Someone...
So the username Dread Pirate Roberts could have said did say these things.
We don't know. That's my point, is that they have a chat log that supposedly shows Dread Pirate Roberts talking with whoever we're talking about here.
It could have been Karl Mark Force writing the entire thing.
It could have been him talking to himself.
People.
It could be a work of fiction by a man who is now convicted and in prison for embezzling millions of dollars, seeing an opportunity and embezzling millions of dollars under the color of law.
That's right. They can't prove it was Ross Ulbricht who wrote those words.
Right, and that's why this thing is just such a mess.
Not only can they not prove that it was Ross Ulbricht who wrote those words, they can't prove that it was even anyone who ever was truly Dread Pirate Roberts, whoever his other successors were, because he's the one who launched the site, and then we know that years later, it was actually Andy Greenberg, I believe, over at Wired, who did an interview with Dread Pirate Roberts. This was actually maybe like 6 months before the site got taken down. He did an interview with whoever Dread Pirate Roberts was, and that Dread Pirate Roberts said that he wasn't the first Dread Pirate Roberts, that there had been at least one more.
And one of the investigators testified during the initial trial, I believe it was Jared Duryegayan making this testimony, that they thought that Mark Karpelis from Mountain Cox was Dread Pirate Roberts. 3 days later, the judge tells the jury, disregard everything this man said.
Yeah. So, reasonable doubt? I would say yes, but the jury wasn't even allowed to consider evidence that might have led them to a conclusion that there was reasonable doubt in this case.
Everything this witness said.
So the judges once again disagreed. Ulbricht, quote, they say, still has not shown how the agent's corrupt behavior is exculpatory. The relevant question on which none of Ulbricht's arguments cast any light or raises any doubt is whether any particular item of evidence was tainted in some way by the misconduct of Bridges or Force.
How is none of this casting light or raising doubt? We have
insane.
We have corrupt federal agents that we know were, manipulating people. After Ross got arrested, somebody logged in as Dread Pirate Roberts.
The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And who was that somebody? Was it one of the two cops who've been caught so far, or was it the third cop that is still on the loose, according to Ross Ulbricht's mentor? More coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
Have you ever thought you'd like to flip houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? Are you ready to be your own boss so you can start living the good life? Hi, I'm Preston Ely. I used to be so broke. I had my electricity turned off 9 times, but I figured out a way to quit my job and find financial freedom in real estate. For a limited time, I want to send you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It shows you how to copy exactly what I did so you can make money from the comfort of your own home without even doing any manual labor. I've already given away 5,000 books and they're going fast. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-958-9256. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. It's short, fun to read, easy to understand, and awesome. To find out how to get your free book while supplies last, call 1-800-958-9256. Call 1-800-958-9256. 1-800-958-9256.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
The dangerous winter storm Rocky is expected to pummel the Midwest throughout the day, with meteorologists predicting the blizzard will hit Kevin Hodges of Joliet, Illinois, the hardest, given the way his year's been going.
Yeah, we're stocking up on everything. I think school's going to be canceled. We're just glad we're not Kevin right now.
Joining us now is Jordan Blake in Chicago. Hello, Jordan. Just how crippling will this storm be for Kevin?
Well, we've already seen a lot of damage. Motorists in Kansas trapped in their cars on the freeway. That's nothing compared to the emotional damage Hodges can expect. Having to deal with a sick cat, frustrating new hours at work, and a confusing breakup all in the past 6 months.
You know, we're getting reports that he recently loaned $600 to a friend who has no intention of paying him back and slammed his finger in a car door last month. Does the National Weather Service have any advice for Kevin today?
Not much you can do. The sky is really vulnerable right now. Authorities are recommending that he just stay indoors and think about his mistakes.
That sounds like good advice. You know, he looks like a real sad piece of shit. Stay warm out there, Jordan.
This is the Onion News Network.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll-free. Bring up anything that you want right here. Our number is 855-450-FREE. 855-450-3733. Though if you've got comments on the terrible news out of the federal courts today, and that is that Ross Ulbricht's appeal has been rejected point by point by the second court panel. Now maybe they will go back to the full appeals court and see what they say. And I don't know how many that would be. Is that 5 or 7 or what?
I don't know.
This was a 3-judge panel.
It depends on the circuit because some of the circuits have more district courts in them.
How many tens of thousands did it cost to do this appeal?
Probably 100,000 at least would be my guess.
So tens of thousands.
Yeah.
And then how many tens of thousands will it cost to do the same panel? They have the transcripts, so that was $20,000 right there.
You got to order more transcripts for more judges.
Yeah,
because each judge has to have a
plus
transcript.
Updated transcripts because you need transcripts of the most recent hearing as well.
Right.
Yep. Well,
it's going to be expensive, no doubt about it.
The ruling doesn't make any sense to me. I haven't heard anything here in this article that makes it make sense to me. I mean, it just all it makes. I guess it's sort of it's like the planets have aligned. You know, Trump tweets convivi, and this court puts out the dumbest ruling I've heard.
I saw that late last night. It's so funny. I didn't see his actual tweet. I saw these convivi things coming
up. Has anyone checked on him? Did the guy have an aneurysm and fall over?
He apparently deleted that tweet in the middle of the night at like 6 a.m. And then posted a new tweet. But my understanding, because online posts are technically a form of a record.
Yeah.
And federal law is every record created by a president is supposed to be archived.
Okay.
Forever.
And so he's violating that, is what you're saying.
He's violating that, and that also means that Kofifi is going to permanently be in the archives.
I was looking at
Urban Dictionary has an amazing definition for this.
Kofifi.
Yeah, it says when you try to spell coverage but your hands are too small to hit all of the keys.
Is that what the word was supposed to be? Coverage?
Probably in context, it says negative press Kofifi. It makes sense that it would be the word coverage. Negative press
sense.
Coverage.
I just thought he had an aneurysm and
fell asleep or something while he was typing it.
And then somehow still moved the mouse down to click submit.
Well, he just followed
It could have been on his portable device. A lot of people update their Twitters from their handheld device, so he might have just hit the enter key.
Is he allowed to have an internet-connected handheld device?
Why wouldn't he be?
He's allowed to have nuclear weapons.
Obama had a BlackBerry.
For God's sake.
No, they made him do extra security stuff, and then I think they took that away at one point. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he had it at least at one point. The funniest thing I saw, there were so many jokes of this Kofifi thing. It just blew up all over the place late last night. And the funniest thing I saw was, how do you pronounce it? Is it Kavfefe, Kavfifi, or like Kafefe? So how do you, or Kavfif, whatever.
Confifi is what I like.
There's no N.
I just like Fifi in there.
Yeah, there is no N. It's Covfefe.
Is that it?
Kavfefe.
Oh, I see. I thought there was an N.
Or Kavfifi. Anyway, you want to comment on that? You're welcome to. We don't mind taking a break from this serious stuff here because it's pretty brutal news today for supporters of Ross Ulbricht, freeross.org. I'm sure they could still use your support, even if this is the end of the court appeals. I doubt they've paid their bills at this point. So his family certainly needs the help. Freeross.org to help them out with that. Whether you want to contribute Bitcoin or PayPal or cut them a check, I know they'd appreciate it. They've they've sold their house or taken out a second mortgage or something like that. They don't have anything left. So back to the story here from Wired.com. The judges claim that quote, there was the relevant question on which none of Ulbricht's arguments cast any light or raise any doubt is whether any particular item of evidence was tainted in some way by the misconduct of Bridges or Force. Those are the two cops that were convicted and are now in prison for being corrupt during that investigation. Nothing in the government's disclosures, says the court, and nothing in that nothing that Ulbricht identifies in the record or has produced from any independent source suggests that either Bridges or Force had such capacity. False. They absolutely, at the very least, Force had administrative access to that website.
Yes.
They, and I think Bridges might have as well. I don't recall the details in his specific case, but he certainly had access to take Bitcoin from the site, so he probably had some high-level access as well. But they had busted one of the Silk Road administrators I believe Cliff Curtis or something, or Curtis Green or something like that. Anyway, one of the Silk Road admins had gone down, and they took over his administrative functions so that nobody knew that he had gotten busted, and so they continued to operate as though they were him on the site, all the while being federal agents in an administrative capacity on the Silk Road. So as an administrator on the site, of course they had ability to make changes.
This just doesn't make any sense.
And fabricate logs.
I mean, it's not like they're ignorantly saying this. They had all this information in front of them. This is closer to a lie than it is to like ignorance, if that makes sense. They're stating the opposite of the truth, and it's their job to know the truth, and they're I can't imagine this is ignorance. This doesn't seem like ignorance.
This is back to Wired.com, not only did the court uphold the verdict, they maintained his life sentence, the severity of which a previous judge had questioned. It was quite a leap, Judge Gerald Lynch commented last year, adding that testimony from family members of Silk Road users who died from overdosing on drugs, quote, put an extraordinary thumb on the scale that shouldn't have been there, unquote. But in its final ruling, the court decided otherwise. Quote, emotionally wrenching as the statements of the decedent's parents were, we cannot and do not assume that federal judges are unable to put their sympathies for particular victims to one side and assess the evidence for its rational relationship to the sentencing decision. So they're basically saying that, oh yeah, she was emotional. That's okay. That's what that says there, right?
Yeah.
This judge was, she couldn't help but be swayed by the emotional testimony here. So, harsher sentence.
Yeah.
They know
if you're acknowledging that it's emotional, you probably then it's probably the appellate court's job to undo it. If that makes
they're
sense.
saying that they can't assume that the judge is unable to put her sympathy aside, and so apparently that's okay. Just part and parcel being a human being. You're just going to have to, judge how you feel rather than what, the actual legal sentence should be for this crime based on, the fact there was no victims.
I don't think that's what a judge is supposed to do.
I agree with you, which is why this is a shocking statement from them.
Yeah.
They know that the deaths of Silk Road
I agree that judges can't put aside their emotions. I don't agree that other judges should uphold their sentences if they think that's what happened.
I agree with you.
Now, and one thing that's interesting about federal drug cases, there's actually some kind of computer formula that the judges are supposed to use that helps them determine what the sentence should be. And there's a little bit of leeway, but, it's not entirely up to the judge. But this judge definitely went above and beyond what that minimum should have been.
They note the deaths of Silk Road customers don't figure into the life sentence so much as Ulbricht's alleged attempts to pay for the murders of a witness, an informant, and 3 others.
Alleged in that somebody said it one time. There's never been a formal charge, and he's never gone to trial on it and never been convicted.
But they were able to drag that out in the trial.
I allege that Judge Catherine Forrest, the woman that sentenced Ross Ulbricht to 2 life sentences plus 40 years, I can allege that she rapes baby penguins. I have no evidence, but I can allege that she does that.
And if you were to actually make that statement in a courtroom, you would be thrown out of court. You would, possible mistrial. They would maybe sentence you with a contempt charge. I mean, for you to make a statement like that,
where's
never
the evidence that
it.
she doesn't?
Well, right. And the thing is, they made that statement about Ross, about him committing murders, in court in front of this jury, probably on at least one, if not more than one occasion. They dragged out these allegations with no evidence.
Unfiled charges.
Right.
In a completely different federal district court.
Based on chat logs that were on a server that were accessible by corrupt federal agents.
Where we know that one of the corrupt federal agents was involved in the chat.
That's right. In light of the overwhelming evidence, says the court, that Ulbricht was prepared, like other drug kingpins, to protect his profits by paying large sums of money to have individuals who threatened his enterprise murdered, it would be plainly wrong to conclude that he was sentenced for accidental deaths that the district court discussed only in passing in imposing a sentence. they wrote. We'll look a little deeper at that quote here in moments. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live, Hour 2, coming up. Do you need a website for your blog or new business? It can be pretty intimidating on your own, and that's why Free Talk Live has partnered with HostGator, one of the top hosting companies. HostGator offers a simple, one-click, easy installation for WordPress, 24/7 over-the-phone or live chat tech support, and a very intuitive, user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation back into your hands. Go to HostGator.com/FTL, and you'll get 50% off of their regular hosting prices. 50% off. HostGator.com/FTL. You've said it yourself. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Health insurance pays for treating sickness but gives you nothing for being healthy. There's a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from health insurance. They give you a proactive health assessment daily, no charge 24-hour access to doctors. Check them out right now at healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and price. healthexcellenceselect.com. healthexcellenceselect.com.
There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of apps for tracking Bitcoin, but none that's ever been able to track 500 digital assets at once. Their best feature is the Altfolio. I love this thing. You enter how many Bitcoins, Ether, Dash, Doge, or whatever else you have, and it tells you how much your crypto is worth. You can watch yourself get rich. If you have crypto, go right now to coincap.io, or you can use the Apple Store or Google Play to get the app. I love CoinCap. coincap.io.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu. 641-793-9660.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene, the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, May 31st, 2017. Silver is trading at $17.35 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,265 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 1.3 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $2,256. Antiwar.com reports the most recent figures related to President Trump's proposed increase in Pentagon spending, along with cuts at the State Department, show the general national security budget of the United States rising once again with the 2018 proposal in the ballpark of $1.1 trillion. Needless to say, that's the biggest military budget on the planet by a far measure. As the figures are broken down into their component parts, however, it becomes particularly shocking just how the money is disappearing, not just into the general warfighting budget, but into related cost of having such a massive military for so long. For interest, Veterans Affairs is expected to eat up $183.5 billion, which by itself comes very close to being the second largest military budget on the planet, just behind China's $200 billion overall cost for its vast military. Figuring in other retirement costs, the cost of retirees is even bigger. This $1.1 trillion also includes over $112 billion that just represents the interest on the military share of America's massive national debt. This interest alone would be more than the cost of NATO's next two largest member nations' militaries, Britain and France. Even cuts in international affairs don't really put a dent into how much the cost of everything else is rising, and with plans for a massive modernization scheme related to America's massive nuclear weapons arsenal, the $21.8 billion nuclear weapons expenses for 2018 could easily explode many-fold, with the expectation that they'll dump over $1 trillion just in the modernization scheme over the years to come. The cost of retirees and debt are likewise things that could rapidly grow out of control, as increases in the amount being spent on fighting in the present inevitably leads to even more retirees and an even vaster debt to service. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the U.S. Supreme Court issued a near-unanimous verdict on Tuesday that protected a Mexican immigrant from deportation. Juan Esquivel Quintana migrated to Sacramento, California with his parents in the year 2000 and became a lawful permanent resident. When he was 20 years old, he had consensual sex with his 16-year-old girlfriend and in 2009 pled no contest in a California court to unlawful sexual intercourse with a minor who is more than 3 years younger than the perpetrator. That conviction prompted deportation proceedings from the Department of Homeland Security. In ruling that Esquivel Quintana should be deported, an immigration judge said Esquivel Quintana's conviction met the federal definition of sexual abuse of a minor. The DOJ's Board of Immigration Appeals agreed with the judge's decision, saying Esquivel Quintana could be deported because the offense was an aggravated felony. An appeals court later denied his request to review the case, but the U.S. Supreme Court overruled those decisions on Tuesday, saying that the conviction did not qualify as sexual abuse of a minor because Esquivel Quintana's girlfriend was 16 at the time of the incident. Because the U.S. Supreme Court said the offense was not clearly defined in the Federal Immigration and Nationalization Act, Esquivel Quintana does not face deportation. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports an Ohio police officer who fatally shot a 12-year-old boy in 2014 was fired on Tuesday after an internal investigation found he provided inaccurate information on his application to join the police, according to city officials. Timothy Lohman, a rookie with the Cleveland Division of Police, shot Tamir Rice as he played in a playground with a toy gun that fired pellets in what was one of a string of killings that fueled protest against the use of deadly force by police in the U.S., particularly against minorities. Cleveland Director of Public Safety Michael McGrath said in a news conference, Patrol Officer Lohman had been charged with a rule violation concerning his application process to be considered a cadet with the Division of Police, specifically answers he provided on his personal history statement. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
For over 8 years, Gary Lightman has been the chief executive officer and guiding force behind tech company MediaMerge Incorporated. Lightman spoke to reporters this week about working his way up from his humble beginnings as a son of the previous CEO.
If you would have told me 10 years ago that I would someday be the CEO of my dad's company, I would have said, absolutely not. I mean, it feels like just yesterday that I started off as a senior executive at this company, and now I'm in charge of the place.
Lightman told reporters that he credits his continued success in business to a number of crucial moments in his career, including getting hired by his father's retirement, and a few lucky breaks in between.
I'm not going to lie to you, it was a lot of work. I was here for nearly 8 hours every day. Someone clearly saw my efforts and took notice. You know, a lot of young people ask for my advice, and I always say the same thing. Work hard, and it will lead to bigger and better things. That's what I tell my kids.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll free and bring up anything that you want. We're launching into the second hour of the show, still talking about the terrible news out of federal courts today, specifically the Second Court of Appeals. A panel of judges there, a 3-judge panel, has basically ruled completely against the appeals case for Ross Ulbricht. And so we've been sharing some of the details on that. They point by point rebutted the case, claiming that even though, there were some corrupt cops who've now gone to prison because they took guilty pleas admitting that they were corrupt and, stealing money and who knows what else, taking bribes, that, the fact that those cops gathered evidence and had full administrative access to the Silk Road server. For those who don't know, the Silk Road was the world's most infamous underground drug marketplace until 2013 when it was taken down in October. But these corrupt cops had access to that server, and they could have planted all manner of evidence in there. No. The fact that all those things is true, that didn't lead any credence to this appeal whatsoever, says the judges. Now, that's not the exact quote. I'm paraphrasing what they said there. But if you want to hear some of the exact quotes, we'll put the Wired story up on our Facebook and Twitter. And, of course, you can always grab the full show later tonight. If you missed the first hour, you can go grab it anytime over at freetalklive.com. It's Ian, Darryl, and Mark in the studio here tonight. So after this summary from the Wired.com's Andy Greenberg, the very end here, he points out, in the end, the court notes that sentencing guidelines actually justify his life sentence even without consideration of any attempted hit jobs or overdose deaths. So they were justifying the fact that he was sentenced to more than life. It was a double life plus 40-year sentence. And they were saying that ultimately that it was not just the people who were harmed allegedly by the drugs that they got from the Silk Road, because they trotted those folks out in the sentencing hearing, but they also claimed that because they believe that Ulbricht was, quote, prepared like other drug kingpins to protect his profits by paying large sums of money to have individuals who threatened his enterprise murdered, it would be plainly wrong to conclude that he was sentenced for accidental deaths that the district court discussed only in passing in imposing sentence. So they're justifying the original court's sentence, saying, oh, the other court judge, Ms. Forrest, we'll talk about her here in a moment, but that judge, Ms. Forrest, it wasn't just the sentencing that was swaying her on this. He was an attempted murderer.
Even though
there's no evidence.
There's a fabricated chat log.
That it's not evidence. If they had evidence, they'd have charged him with it.
Well,
right. They don't have enough evidence to bring forth a charge. They do have what is very likely a fabricated chat log and this unfiled allegation that they've never brought formal charges on. He's never been convicted on. He's never had a hearing on. So they just mention it in passing.
And the judges are taking this as God's word.
Oh, well, he's alleged to have done something. Well, how do we know that Judge Catherine B. Forrest of the New York Federal Court has never raped baby penguins? Right. How do we know?
If a judge...
I have a chat log here that where someone claiming to be her says that she raped baby penguins. Therefore, she must have done it.
If a judge... sentences somebody for a crime that they haven't been charged, tried and found guilty of, that judge is, they're doing something illegal.
Well, here they're justifying it later. They're saying that, even if she wasn't influenced by these
right, then they're saying that it was a life sentence.
She could have still done this anyway.
But they also, they trot out these victims of bad drugs that were bought on Silk Road, right? I think that bad drugs are a danger that one deals with when one does drugs. I mean, until the drug war,
it wasn't necessarily bad drugs. It was that they did too much of them and died.
Okay, fine. Overdoses are another thing. If I buy a bow and arrow, or if somebody buys a bow and arrow on eBay and shoots me with it, can I sue eBay?
No.
I mean, it is reasonable that someone might use a bow and arrow, a device intended to shoot living things with, might shoot me, and so therefore eBay should not sell those things. I don't believe that for one solitary second.
And there's actually federal precedent that operators of online stores cannot be held liable for what the users do.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
So, anyway, more to the story here. As Judge Catherine Forrest explained at the time, Ulbricht's life sentence was intended to send a message to other would-be dark web drug kingpins.
Which is you're not supposed to sentence me on other people's potential crimes in the future. You're supposed to sentence me on my crime.
Right, but, a lot of times the judges will not only sentence you for your crime, but they'll look and see what your criminal record looks like. This man ran a red light in 1974. He did this other thing, and so therefore we're putting you away for life on this stealing a loaf of bread.
I think that taking your criminal record into account makes a hell of a lot of sense, a lot more sense than taking into account the potential criminal record of other people in the imaginary future. That's what sending a message is. Sending a message is intending to stop crimes that have not yet occurred by sentencing a person more harshly.
Right, but let me give another more extreme example of using someone's criminal record. Let's say somebody has...
But Ross Ulbricht didn't have a criminal record.
Right. But, judges still, they'll do this weird thing of, you have 2 petty, theft misdemeanors in your past and grand theft auto, so therefore on this speeding ticket, I'm going to put you away for as long as I can put somebody in jail for a speeding ticket. Yep. Even though it's totally unrelated, whatever record there is, totally unrelated, judges will still use that as justification.
Sure.
And they'll use any perceived, something else could happen, and, perceived scenarios in their mind as justification for all kinds of things.
Yeah, they do all kinds of things. In this case, they couldn't do it to Ross Ulbricht because he didn't have a criminal record.
Right.
Judge Forrest's strategy appears to have backfired, at least in the short term. Sales on Silk Road's successor sites doubled in the immediate wake of Ulbricht's sentence.
Sure, as advertising.
As news of the trial's outcome raised awareness of the dark web drug market. In their ruling, the judges subtly expressed their own doubts about the lower court's sentencing decision, even as they affirm it is legal, saying, quote, "Courts have the power to condemn a young man to die in prison, and judges must exercise that power only in a small number of cases after the deepest thought and reflection."
I thought about it long and hard, and yep, I'm right. You deserve to die in prison.
They said further, quote, "Although we might not have imposed the same sentence ourselves in the first instance, on the facts of this case, a life sentence was within the range of permissible decisions that the district court could have reached." So there they are again saying,
the judges,
yeah, we're better people than this judge here. We probably would have done something different.
The arbiters of fairness have decided that this isn't fair, but they're going to let it go.
That's what happened.
Because it was,
make any sense.
Quote, within the range of permissible decisions, end quote.
Mm-hmm.
So
that is their job. I will point that out again.
Somewhere between 5 years and 2 life sentences plus 40 years. That's the range, and it was within the range, so therefore justified.
Well, their job, Mark, is to look at the appeal and decide whether mistakes or errors of law were made.
That's correct.
And
they did, and they missed several of them.
They did that. They missed several of those, but also they could absolutely overturn this draconian sentence. They could very well say, look, yeah, it may have been within the range of permissible decisions, but it was inhumane. This is wrong. Prohibition needs to end. Here, this court of judges has decided to send a message that this judge made a mistake and that this stuff shouldn't happen anymore.
And
they could totally do that.
Catherine Forrest loves sending messages.
But instead, they wanted to back up the system status quo. And that's all this was. This is just a pure justification of tyranny and the status quo, all the while throwing out, props to the idea of ending prohibition at some point in the future, but not right now and not in this kid's lifetime. It's Free Talk Live.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2, call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-940-9829. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-940-9829. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-940-9829. That's 1-800-940-9829.
heart disease is on the rise. Clogged arteries, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol levels may not be fully detected by you, but the symptoms are there. Loss of energy, blood sugar spikes and drops, poor circulation, and irregular heartbeat are just a few of these that can alert you that something is wrong. Hear how Heart and Body Extract is making a difference in thousands of people's lives across America.
My blood pressure has normalized. My diabetes has totally improved.
Everyone is telling me now how much healthier I look, and I'm telling everyone how much healthier I feel. I recommend Heart and Body Extract to everyone.
Anybody over 40 in the North American continent should be using this product as a preventative to keep their cardiovascular system healthy.
Order your 2-month supply today by calling 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. Or order online, hbextract.com. Heart and Body Extract, 866-295-5305 or hbextract.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us right here, toll-free at 855-450-FREE. 855-450-3733. Joining you in the studio here tonight, it's Ian,
Darryl,
and Mark.
We're still discussing the terrible news about Ross Ulbricht's appeal, which has been rejected by the initial panel that was looking at it, the Second Court of Appeals. Now, maybe they're going to try this again. Maybe they're going to ask for the full panel of judges to look at it. It would seem like that would be the way to go here. That was what your suggestion was earlier. Likely expensive, but could it be as expensive as filing the appeal? I mean, the appeal's basically written already unless they make some serious changes to it. I would hope that it is at least some fraction of the initial appeal's cost to try again, but I have no idea. I don't know anything about that.
I would also, so if this is a panel of 3 and then the full panel's 5, I'm just pulling numbers out here. I would think that they're already behind the 8 ball.
Right.
Maybe the judges will change their mind after having a chance to think about it, but it doesn't seem likely. They've had all the time they need to think about it now, and
that's true.
This just looks like a terrible decision to me. It's not that it didn't go my way, and it didn't, but I guess I just don't understand. I would love to sit in there and interview these people that made this
they don't
decision.
do interviews.
Right, of course they don't. They don't answer questions about decisions they've made.
They've justified their decision. They wrote it down on a piece of paper, and they go home and enjoy a glass of wine or smoke their own joint at nighttime.
Yep.
So the full panel, I believe, would be 11 judges.
Oh,
wow. Okay.
That's big.
That could change it, right? Like, that could... Anything could be possible if you bring more people involved in this. But again, don't get your hopes up. I'm sure at some point we'll talk to Lynn about this. I didn't even consider reaching out to her today. I'm sure she's having a tough day.
I don't want to talk to Lynn
today.
right now.
Lynn is Ross's mother.
We'll see her in 3 weeks.
Will she be at Somalia Fest?
I know she's going to be at Port. Okay, I'll at least I will see her in 3 weeks.
All right, that's cool. Right on. Lynn, of course, has been standing by her son here as much as she can, given that he's in a prison cell. But I think they sold their house in Austin, Texas, and moved physically to New York State, where he's being held in prison, just so they can be closer to him and go and visit him weekly.
At this point, he will not likely be remaining where he is.
They're going to move him
geographically
around, right?
Because he was left in basically what amounts to a county jail for the purpose. It's Rikers prison or something in New York City, basically, and he. He's now going to be moved off into the federal system.
I thought he was in a federal detention center in Manhattan.
I think he's under federal jurisdiction in a some kind of detention facility. But she had said that there was special dispensation for him because of his appeal. So that he's staying in the same place he was.
MCC, which is the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York, which is a federally administered prison in Manhattan.
But it is it's for people going to trial. It doesn't. You notice it doesn't have the word, the letter P in it. It is not a prison in the hard sense. It's a federal facility.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that Russ Ulbricht will be moved in the next 2 months.
Would not surprise me.
We definitely saw that happen with Mark Emery, the Prince of Pot, who they put in prison for 5 years and shipped him, here and there.
Mark Emery went around and he created sort of trouble. While he was in jail, he wrote blog posts and did those sorts of things. Ross Ulbricht, he's
that doesn't mean anything.
Kept a low profile.
They wanted to keep Mark away from his wife, so they moved him halfway across the United States.
They wanted to punish him for his activities while his, sort of continuing to be a jerk while in prison, kind of thing. What do they call that? Diesel therapy. I think is what the terminology they use.
I don't remember any claims that he was being a jerk while in prison.
Didn't he write blog posts?
He was, being a very good prisoner while he was in there.
I don't mean like shanking people in the shower or anything like that. I mean writing things. Like using your freedom of speech while in jail is dangerous because the Department of the Bureau of Prisons doesn't like it.
Right, and he could have found out that there were, 500,000 gallons of Baskin-Robbins ice cream that was being served to the guards instead of the inmates, as was supposed to be done.
That was Seagoville Prison, and that's still going on, and that is a corruption scandal that one of our listeners has stumbled upon, who is living in that particular facility. We got 500 pages of evidence about it.
Wasn't he punished for filing that FOIA
regularly?
request?
They banned him from calling our show.
Regularly, they go after these guys for if you attempt to point out to the Bureau of Prisons something they're doing wrong, or the federal government generally, they're going to come after you.
Yep, that's true.
Right. Look at Chelsea Manning. She showed things that the federal government was doing wrong and was rewarded with a 35-year prison term.
Yeah, well, she got out. Russ Ulbricht didn't have the the amount of support, I think, is really what got Chelsea out.
Well, okay, I see what you're saying.
Generally, also, when things are still working their way through the court system, there's not going to be clemency or pardons.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. And also, I don't know, is it so much about support, Mark, as it is about the alleged crimes that were committed? A
little bit about, because to Obama's credit, and again, I realize that this is not saying a lot because he oversaw a bunch of people being placed into prison, but he did wind up pardoning in the last several months. He did wind up pardoning, I believe, over 1,000 people, most of them nonviolent drug offenders.
That's true.
Right. But what Obama played the line, right? Like, throughout 8 years, he played president, and then at the end, he played liberal. And, he gets to have his cake and eat it too in this circumstance because, you can say the Obama administration incarcerated Chelsea Clinton for pointing out the atrocities of
Chelsea Manning. Chelsea Clinton never went to prison.
I'm sorry, Chelsea Manning. Thank you so much.
Not yet.
For Private Manning for the the atrocities that were committed in the Iraq War, or blah blah blah. You can make this statement, but then it's mitigated by the fact, but Obama let her out.
Right. Did not pardon, just commuted.
Yeah. Whatever. So to me that's playing both sides and playing them well. No one ever claimed that Obama was a bad politician.
Let's go to your calls and thoughts. Scott in Massachusetts, you're on Free Talk Live. Hello.
Yes, good evening, gentlemen.
Hey.
How are you?
What's on your mind?
I'd like to talk about rights for white Christians in America. For too long, white Christians in America have been officially marginalized by unfair affirmative
What rights don't they have?
Reverse discrimination laws meant to protect blacks who required special laws because they did not have the IQs that were equal to whites.
Oh, God.
For example, Barack Obama got into Harvard Law School as a result of affirmative action and reverse discrimination laws. But without these special laws, Obama would have most certainly been rejected.
How do we know that?
Blacks are no longer,
I've never seen documentation of that. I can say that certainly Barack Obama did not claim to be anything but black when applying, and certainly they do have rules for that say like we'd like to have this many blacks, this many whites, this many Jews, this many whatever. Like they make decisions based on ethnicity. I wish they didn't, but they do. What evidence do you have that he wouldn't have made it in had everything been equal?
Beyond, we'll find out here in a moment here with Scott in Massachusetts. He is Scott the Bigot. We will continue, and you are welcome to join us here. 855-450, free like freedom. This is Free Talk Live.
Yesterday, I got a call from the IRS. They say I owe them over $16,000. I don't have that kind of money.
Don't try to fight the IRS on your own. Use Coast One Financial Group and let them help you get a fresh start. If you owe at least $10,000 in back taxes, call now for a free and confidential tax debt analysis. Call Coast One now for a free consultation at 800-643-4661 now. 800-643-4661. That's 800-643-4661.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
My name is Angel Rach. I'm a mother of 2 teenage children, and I fought all the way to the Supreme Court for the right to use the medicine that saved my life. I've been permanently disabled for 10 years, with an inoperable brain tumor, wasting syndrome, and several other serious conditions. For 4 years, I was in a wheelchair, in so much pain, I couldn't even hug my kids. The hardest part was looking in their eyes and seeing how much they were suffering because of my medical condition. The medicine that gave me my life back and gave my kids their mom back was cannabis, also known as medical marijuana. With medical marijuana, I can walk, maintain my weight, and I can be a mom. Without it, my doctors believe that I would die. To learn more about medical marijuana, contact Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or on the web at mpp.org.
Did you know that Free Aid is a mutual aid, educational, and networking organization? At Free Aid, we support volunteers who provide first aid. We do outreach to the public about health and safety, and we bring together medically skilled freedom lovers. Free Aid is made possible by your generous support. Donors can receive great gifts like first aid kits, t-shirts, silver dime cards, and hoodies. The Free Aid Silver Dime Card Project is sponsored in part by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, Freedom's Phoenix, and Don't Tread on Meme. Visit fr33aid.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can dial toll-free and you can bring up anything that you want. Our number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If you've got Bitcoin, we want you to check out the official wallet of Free Talk Live. Or maybe you've got some other cryptocurrencies like Ether or Dash and several more. You can go to jax.io to learn more about Jax. It's jaxx.io, or grab it from the Google or Apple App Store. It's not quite like most of the wallets you've seen out there. This one holds multiple cryptocurrencies, and it has shapeshift integration, which means that you can easily change between your currencies. Meaning if you have Bitcoin, but you want to turn some of that into Ether or Dash or whatever, or vice versa, you can do that with Jax. Go to jax.io. It was created by Anthony Diorio, who is one of the founders of Ethereum. It's easy to back up your wallet and recover your funds with Jax, and Jax is striving to give you command over your digital life. Coins, contracts, currencies, identity, and more at your digital command center in the palm of your hand. It's Jax, the official wallet of Free Talk Live at jaxx.io. As we continue here, Scott in Massachusetts. He is Scott the Bigot. And Mark, you had thrown a question out at Scott a moment ago. Do you happen to recall what that was? Because I didn't take any notes.
No.
It was about Obama going to college, and what proof, if any, does Scott the Bigot have that Obama would not have been accepted
if he weren't black?
If he were not at least part black.
Scott, that was a question for you.
As a whole, across the board, blacks do not have the same mental aptitude as whites.
They don't score as well on IQ tests. And,
that's right, they don't. That's a fact.
But that doesn't mean anything when it comes down to the individual.
Correct, because the way averages work, it means some people are above average and some people are below average.
But it also doesn't mean that the IQ... Okay, so IQ tests are written basically by white people for white students and that sort of thing, so it's difficult to know. I mean, when you take somebody, you toss them into the worst school in a given geographic area, and you say, perform at the level of the kids in the better school, and then you say, look, you're just a bunch of dum-dums, all of you. I mean, this is all sort of rigged and set up from the first place. We cannot say at this point conclusively if people who are black are born dumber than people who are born white because they come through an education system which funds schools that are majority black less than it funds schools that are majority white. Now, it's not that I agree or disagree with, I do disagree with that, but I think that the public school system's rigged from the get-go. The best way
Let me put it another way, gentlemen.
Go ahead.
If you look at the history of the world, what have blacks contributed to humanity? When I mean that, I'm referring to mathematics, literature, music. Let's look at
Why
the
don't you
Germans.
go and look it up? I mean, there's an entire internet out there full of, people who are black who have achieved all kinds of different successes in life. And, we're not going to go and do your research for you. It's not like you really want to hear an answer to that question.
He doesn't want to hear an answer.
You don't want to have your beliefs rebutted because they're not based on anything sound. They're based on hatred. They're based on ignorance.
No. Could I finish reading this? It won't take long. Blacks are no longer considered minorities in America. On the contrary, whites are, who have been forced to take a backseat to blacks.
Please.
Because blacks
Where is this
have
coming
hit them
from?
over their heads for decades.
Where
with
is
guilt
this coming
over
from?
white
Probably
people's
something
past
that he
involvement
wrote
in
down just before he called in.
Scott, where are you getting this from, this that you're reading? What is it?
Guilt trip of their past treatment of blacks who are
He's not having a conversation.
Getting your information.
Yeah, he's not listening at this point. We're going to give him one more chance here. You still reading, Scott?
Yeah,
Where are you reading this from? What is your source?
White Christians
All right.
We're
You're not going to
not
answer. We're going to let you go.
nearly as responsible.
Thank you for the call. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. I'm sure that's going to be used as evidence that white Christians are being oppressed.
You're only thanking him out of courtesy, not because you're actually thankful that a bigot would call into the show and say weird, bigoted things.
I don't think that, if I recall, Scott, from years and years ago, he's not particularly Christian. He's just of the opinion that sort of culturally Christians are better. No, I don't think so.
Well, we can't ask him now, Mark. I'm sure he'll call back at another time, and you can ask him all about his Christian beliefs or lack thereof.
I don't care.
At that time. So, toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. Look, the fact is that people are individuals, and all this talk about groups, it is really, it doesn't fly on this show, because you can show a study that claims that, blacks don't have the same average IQ as whites. Maybe that's a legitimate study. I don't know. But taking that at face value, to me, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant whether that's true or not, because what matters is the individual and what that person believes and what that person's successes and challenges
It's also a difficult position to hold and be bigoted against Jews at the same time. So Ashkenazi Jews tend to show up significantly higher than any other ethnic group, including Asians, when it comes to IQ tests. If you're going to use this as a yardstick, by God, use it as a yardstick. Then, then Scott calls in and complains about the Jews controlling the world. Well, wait a second. What was the problem? It wasn't a big deal that whites were in charge of blacks when whites had marginally a few points more than blacks did on IQ tests taken by tests written by whites, blacks that went through white schools, and black schools. The whole reasons why this isn't entirely fair. But when you stack them up against Jews, whites fall by many points.
See, that's probably why he thinks the Jews control the world, is because they're on average smarter than the white people. Herp-a-derp.
Yeah, well, ask any person with a high IQ that high IQs don't mean success, happiness, or a whole variety of measurements.
There
of a
are
good
actually
life.
Studies, and I forget what podcast I was listening to recently, where they were talking about IQ, and there's a certain point, and I think it's somewhere around the 120 mark, that it doesn't really matter how much higher over that you are, your success level is going to be about the same.
Let's continue with your calls. We've got Don. He's in San Angelo, Texas, listening via podcast. Hello, Don.
Hello, this is Don, and I had a little story to share about my fifth grader.
Okay.
He got his
report card,
money for the week, and went to the store to spend it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, man.
Okay. And he was walking along, and he said, "Dad, can you pay the tax for me?" And he's done this several times, and I thought, this makes it easier for him, and he doesn't like spending his own money. But I thought I'd actually ask him, why don't you want to pay the tax? Is it just because you don't want to pay the man? And he thought for about half a minute, and he looked at me and he said, "Some of this money from taxes goes for war." And we should have smarter ways of solving problems than that.
Wow, he's in 5th grade.
I agree with him completely, but having you pay the tax doesn't stop the war from happening.
I know, but I thought that was
Hey,
enough.
he's just trying to keep the blood off of his hands.
Yeah, right. Dad, you take care of that.
Would make more sense for him to say, well, the price says $2.99, not $2.99 plus all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's one of the wonderful things about New Hampshire, where we live and where this show originates from, is when you go into, Walmart or Target or whatnot, unless you're buying prepared meals, there is no tax.
That's true. So, Don, was there more to your conversation you wanted to share, or was that it?
No, just that sometimes even the smallest can be pretty smart.
From the
smarter than we
mouths
are
of babes, as they say. Thank you for the call tonight, Don. I appreciate the story. Our toll-free number here, if you want to join us, 855-450, free like freedom, 855-450-3733. Coming up, Darryl, you've got an update on the terrible judge, Ms. Catherine Forrest.
Yes.
Who was
Penguin raper.
The very same judge, allegedly, the very same judge who sat on Ross Ulbricht's trial.
Yes.
So that district court judge, federal court judge, you've got news about her on the way. It has to do with cigarettes.
And sending a message.
Another message. Yep, this is Free Talk Live.
Don't do what I did and run out. If it's working, don't quit. Why would you stop? Why undo all the good that's been accomplished?
You've got to feed them right for life.
Dynavite is nutrition.
If I ever took Roy off of Dynavite.
No.
When I get to about 3/4.
When I get down to the bottom of my box of Dynavite, oh no, I've got a couple more scoops. It's time to place my order. Dynavite.com. DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite for your dog this week.
We'll send you a big tube of Doggo Suds, free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Doggo Suds shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Doggo Suds.
Free this week at Dynavite.com.
Just feed your dog right. Use Dynavite.
Dynavite for life.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Heart disease is on the rise. Clogged arteries, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol levels may not be fully detected by you, but the symptoms are there. Loss of energy, blood sugar spikes and drops, poor circulation, and irregular heartbeat are just a few of these that can alert you that something is wrong. Hear how Heart and Body Extract is making a difference in thousands of people's lives across America.
My blood pressure has normalized. My diabetes has totally improved.
Everyone is telling me now how much healthier I look, and I'm telling everyone how much healthier I feel. I recommend Heart and Body Extract to everyone.
Anybody over 40 in the North American continent should be using this product as a preventative to keep their cardiovascular system healthy.
Order your 2-month supply today by calling 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. Or order online, hbextract.com. Heart and Body Extract, 866-295-5305 or hbextract.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing. To be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com. Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. We invite you to join us here, toll free at 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733, and join us online. Anytime you want, just head on over to freetalklive.com. With you in studio tonight, it's me, Ian.
And Darryl.
And Mark.
And we're going to go to your calls and thoughts. Also, I do want to let you know about SaveItPurse.com. You go there, you want to save big time on your purchases at Amazon. Save It Purse lets you do it. Easily save 20% or maybe even more on the stuff that you need to buy. SaveAtPurse.com. I sometimes will try for a higher percentage discount if I'm not in a hurry to get anything. So, if you need something quickly, they do have Purse Instant, which gives you 5% off that, and also gives you Amazon Prime on the shipping, so you get it fast. And so it's just an amazing deal. The thing is, you have to have cryptocurrency. You have to have Bitcoin, for instance, or one of the other more popular cryptos in order to utilize Purse. Otherwise, sorry, you need to get some Bitcoin. SaveAtPurse.com, SaveAtPurse.com. I recently tried to get more than, I think I was shooting for 29% or something on some bubble mailers, and just couldn't quite get it. So I gave it a week or two, and I wasn't able to get the discount that I was looking for, so I dropped it down to 24% and sold. Yeah, so I'm buying the bubble mailer so I can mail out the Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree DVDs when the orders come in. They're not coming in fast, but we did get our first order for a autographed copy of Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree, which, by the way, is right now only available through SaveItPurse.com. And if you want to get access to that, go to victimlesscrimespree.com, go to dvd.victimlesscrimespree.com, and you'll find the link there to the autographed version. There's the regular version that doesn't have autographs for $10, basically, and then there's the other version that has autographs on it from me and Derek J. Freeman, and that's approximately $20 worth of Bitcoin, plus a couple bucks for shipping. So if you want to get your copy of that, you can do that. And thanks to Roger Paxton for being the first buyer of that DVD set. So appreciate it.
I wonder if he's going to do an official review on his podcast, The Lava Flow.
That would be amazing. I would love that. There hasn't been a review of Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree in quite a long time. It's a movie that's been out for almost 5 years now. It'll be 5 years this September. So I'm sure we'll be commemorating that when that time comes around. But it sort of plateaued for a long time as far as its views on YouTube. It's been at 176,000 for probably a year. So it's been very, very slow growth. It's one of those things where you never know what's going to happen. I mean, somebody could all of a sudden post that to Reddit, and then it could blow up and get, another 100,000 views in a week. So you never know when that's going to happen. But as of the last couple of years, it's been pretty slow growth there on Victimless Crime Spree, which is, again, you can watch it for free anytime you want at victimlesscrimespree.com.
But you don't get the commentary when you watch it for free online.
That's true. That is one of the exclusives to the DVD version of it, which, again, is available at dvd.victimlesscrimespree.com. Let's go to Greg. He is on the line on Skype. Hello, Greg. Where are you calling from tonight? Greg on Skype, going once. Greg on Skype, going twice. Sometimes people are on Skype, but they they don't realize they've accidentally hit the mute button. Sometimes it's our sound card that has the issue, but we haven't really had that problem in quite a long time, so it's almost never our side. So we'll see if we can figure out what's going on with Greg's connection here. And, of course, we'll take your phone calls any old time you want. Our toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. So let's talk about Judge Catherine Forrest, the very same corrupt, terrible judge who sent Ross Ulbricht to prison for the rest of his life and another life sentence or so beyond that. What's the latest with old Judge Forrest?
Well,
Darryl?
The latest is from about a week ago. New York Times has the story where she ruled that UPS, that's the shipping company, UPS, must pay $247 million in damages and penalties to New York City and New York State for illegally shipping cigarettes.
Seriously?
Yes. Seriously.
How the hell is
$247 million.
That's crazy. How is somebody supposed to, obviously I don't know any of the details of the case, I'm sure you'll give us some of that here in a moment, but how is someone who's the shipper supposed to be responsible for the tax stamps on the cigarettes?
So, and I've read these stories about this a few days ago, and there was an agreement that UPS had signed with both the city and the state that they would not ship cigarettes to any unlicensed retailer, to private residences, or somewhere else. So they signed an agreement, and UPS says what we shipped, because, you know, UPS, they've got to ask people, are you shipping this, that, the other thing, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And they said that what they were shipping were actually miniature cigars, not cigarettes, and so therefore they were not in violation of the agreement.
But Forrest said, yes, you were.
Yep. And according to New York Times, a, quote, very significant award, end quote, was necessary because of the public health hazard posed by cigarettes and as a deterrent to future bad conduct. So here we go with that somebody in the future might do something bad again.
Now, this is interesting because it reminds me of a story that we talked about, I don't know, a few years ago, where New York City or New York State, I forget which one, maybe it was the city because they mentioned the city here in this story, that they put that big old tax, of course, on cigarettes. And I remember there was like a headline that we reported on where the city had like the cigarette interdiction squad. And they were going,
sounds right.
Yeah, they were going after people not only, you know, by choking them to death on the streets for selling loosies, but also they were going after people that they had records had purchased cigarettes online and were trying to extract tax payments from them for that.
I believe they were also going after people that had gone to one of the Indian reservations in New York, purchased cigarettes from there, and then brought them into the city to wind up smoking.
That's also illegal, even though they legally bought it in an Indian reservation in this.
Did they smoke it on the Indian reservation, Ian?
There are a lot
Is that
of.
what you're supposed to do?
You can't just run around smoking cigarettes in our town that you haven't paid for.
There are a lot of cities and states that have something called a use tax, where if you buy something in one jurisdiction and did not pay a sales tax on it, and you use it in their jurisdiction, you are liable for that tax. So online sales, and this is something that a lot of people aren't even aware of, and it applies to catalog sales as well, but you know, how many of those are there anymore? When you buy something from a different jurisdiction, the jurisdiction you're buying from can't tax it because it's going across state lines, but the recipient of the item is supposed to pay a use tax in a lot of jurisdictions.
I have to wonder what it was that, you know, UPS signed an agreement with the state and the city, New York City in this case. Was there some sort of consideration given to UPS for this? Was it just, you know, the fact that they won't be harassed by the government or something like that?
They had, I believe, and I'm fairly certain the article does get into it a little more in detail, but I believe they had been charged with illegally shipping cigarettes previously, and as a courtesy of, we'll drop the charges if you agree to never do this again.
I see.
I believe was the reason that agreement came about. Let's continue with the article.
We'll do that
here
in a moment here. Let's go first, though, to Mark. He's in Manchester, New Hampshire, and listening online at lrn.fm. Go ahead, Mark. Hello?
I heard you talk about Jax.io, so I went online and downloaded it to my phone.
All right.
Well, you'll have to bear with me because I'm over 50 years old. So what do I do now? I'd like to get some Dash coin, and I have a wallet on my phone, so where do I get some Dash?
You'd have to ask around, and this sounds like, can we say who you are because I can identify your voice?
Sure, go ahead.
This is Mark Warden. Mark Warden, who is the Porcupine Real Estate agent and
at
longtime listener.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
That's right, a longtime listener and supporter of Free Talk Live. And Mark, you are living nearby to one of the largest concentrations of cryptocurrency activists in the world. Manchester, New Hampshire probably has a very large number of those folks. I've seen pictures of them attending Bitcoin meetups and things like that. And I would say putting it out there to the community is a good way to acquire some Dash, just kind of person to person. That was the old way you did it with Bitcoin back in the day if you didn't want to sign up for an exchange. Most exchanges don't have these alternative currencies on them. Some of them are starting to get them, like the Kraken exchange, I believe, has Dash, if I'm recalling correctly. But and of course you can also use the Jax app to shapeshift from one to another. So if you already have some Bitcoin, you can just change that into to Dash. But more coming up here. If you want to stick with us, you can. Mark, this is Free Talk Live, Hour 3 on the way. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Imagine, if you will, a virtual world, a symbiotic economy with its own currency, where you can barter your services with others. Symbi.com is a marketplace of real people, exchanging skills and services. From web developers, marketers, video production specialists, and teachers of all sorts, to gaming consulting or fitness coaching. Symbi.com is a vast world of people trading freely. Take my word for it, it's an adventure you can't afford to miss. Simbi.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Ovaltine. Give your kids the nutrition they need to be their best. Visit us at ovaltineusa.com. Telling your child about healthy food choices is important, but showing her what to eat goes a lot further. Have her help create the grocery list, then bring her to the store with you. Picking out healthy foods together helps kids get in the habit of thinking about what they're eating every day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, May 31st, 2017. Silver is trading at $17.35 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,265 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 1.3 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $2,256. Antiwar.com reports the most recent figures related to President Trump's proposed increase in Pentagon spending, along with cuts at the State Department, show the general national security budget of the United States rising once again, with the 2018 proposal in the ballpark of $1.1 trillion. Needless to say, that's the biggest military budget on the planet by a far measure. As the figures are broken down into their component parts, however, it becomes particularly shocking just how the money is disappearing, not just into the general warfighting budget, but into related cost of having such a massive military for so long. For interest, Veterans Affairs is expected to eat up $183.5 billion, which by itself comes very close to being the second largest military budget on the planet, just behind China's $200 billion overall cost for its vast military. Figuring in other retirement costs, the cost of retirees is even bigger. This $1.1 trillion also includes over $112 billion that just represents the interest on the military share of America's massive national debt. This interest alone would be more than the cost of NATO's next two largest member nations' militaries, Britain and France. Even cuts in international affairs don't really put a dent into how much the cost of everything else is rising, and with plans for a massive modernization scheme related to America's massive nuclear weapons arsenal, the $21.8 billion nuclear weapons expenses for 2018 could easily explode many-fold, with the expectation that they'll dump over $1 trillion just in the modernization scheme over the years to come. The cost of retirees and debt are likewise things that could rapidly grow out of control, as increases in the amount being spent on fighting in the present inevitably leads to even more retirees and an even vaster debt to service. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the U.S. Supreme Court issued a near-unanimous verdict on Tuesday that protected a Mexican immigrant from deportation. Juan Esquivel Quintana migrated to Sacramento, California with his parents in the year 2000 and became a lawful permanent resident. When he was 20 years old, he had consensual sex with his 16-year-old girlfriend and in 2009 pled no contest in a California court to unlawful sexual intercourse with a minor who is more than 3 years younger than the perpetrator. That conviction prompted deportation proceedings from the Department of Homeland Security. In ruling that Esquivel Quintana should be deported, an immigration judge said Esquivel Quintana's conviction met the federal definition of sexual abuse of a minor. The DOJ's Board of Immigration Appeals agreed with the judge's decision, saying Esquivel Quintana could be deported because the offense was an aggravated felony. An appeals court later denied his request to review the case, but the U.S. Supreme Court overruled those decisions on Tuesday, saying that the conviction did not qualify as sexual abuse of a minor because Esquivel Quintana's girlfriend was 16 at the time of the incident. Because the U.S. Supreme Court said the offense was not clearly defined in the Federal Immigration and Nationalization Act, Esquivel Quintana does not face deportation. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports an Ohio police officer who fatally shot a 12-year-old boy in 2014 was fired on Tuesday after an internal investigation found he provided inaccurate information on his application to join the police, according to city officials. Timothy Lohman, a rookie with the Cleveland Division of Police, shot Tamir Rice as he played in a playground with a toy gun that fired pellets in what was one of a string of killings that fueled protest against the use of deadly force by police in the U.S., particularly against minorities. Cleveland Director of Public Safety Michael McGrath said in a news conference, Patrol Officer Lohman had been charged with a rule violation concerning his application process to be considered a cadet with the Division of Police, specifically answers he provided on his personal history statement. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Congress today passed a landmark Social Security reform bill they estimate could save the troubled program billions. The so-called Grab Life by the Balls bill includes provisions to cut the cost of cigarettes in half, outlaws helmets, and adjusts the CDC's recommended amount of sleep from 8 hours a night to when you're dead. The bill's short-term initiatives aim to immediately cut Social Security costs in half by replacing senior citizens' monthly checks with vouchers for grain, alcohol, and extreme sports.
I got this coupon to motocross over a canyon. Better do my part to help the deficit.
Supporters in Congress say the cost will be offset by the so-called pussy tax on products such as sweaters, vegetables, hand soap, and flu shots.
America, would you rather die old, broke, and forgotten, or die a mother legend.
The new program follows in the footsteps of the Life as a Cartoon Medicare campaign, which encourages seniors to run full speed off of cliffs and smoke sticks of dynamite.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll free here. The number is 855-450-FREE. 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. So Skype on in here at username LRN.FM. With you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And Darryl.
And Mark.
And we're going to your phone calls and thoughts. But coming up, the latest on the terrible judge. The judge from the Ross Ulbricht trial, which we spent a lot of time in the first hour talking about his sadly failed appeal at the appeals court. But the initial judge, who was a little tyrant in his courtroom that threatened the jury, that threatened to sequester the jury if people like our friend Derek J. Freeman continued to stand outside holding jury nullification information.
Now, of course, she would not tell the jury why they were being sequestered.
Correct.
So it would be left to their imaginations where they would think, wait a second, juries only get sequestered if they're in danger.
Right.
This guy's being charged as a kingpin. That means that maybe he wants us dead.
Yep, they certainly could have extrapolated that from that situation. And so as a result, the supporters of Ross Ulbricht did decide to leave when talked to by Ross's mother.
Yes.
Ultimately, they're leaving the area. They're no longer protesting, no longer participating. Did not do anything to help Ross's sentence, which was the fear. That was the fear that was built up. And I understand. I'm not upset or blaming his mom, Lynn, for being afraid. It's a scary situation. The government's good at being intimidating. But they basically, intimidated them and said, hey, look, if you don't go along with this, if you don't enforce this judge's will on your friends outside who are trying to help do what they can to help inform this jury about jury nullification, you're right as a juror to vote your conscience in a case. If you don't help him, we're going to punish the jury. And then that's going to mean that he's more likely to get sentenced guilty, and we're more likely to throw the book at him, basically. It was the idea was let's appease this judge in the hopes that she goes easy on Ross.
Yes.
And that did not help. Appeasing this judge did not in any way assist with Ross's sentencing. She threw the book and then a few more books at him in this sentence. It basically couldn't have been worse than what it was. And now the appeals court has decided to uphold this terrible sentence. Judge Catherine Forrest, we're going to talk more about her in a moment. Let's go to Ricky. He's in Pennsylvania. Go ahead, Ricky.
Brother Ian, Brother Mark, Brother Darryl, that would be the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
We knew you would say that. Go ahead, Ricky.
It also doesn't make any difference.
It is. You can look it up.
We don't care. Go ahead.
Massachusetts is also a Commonwealth, as is Virginia and Kentucky.
And they're all tyrants.
But not quite like here. But that's another story.
Yep,
for
Pennsylvania's
another day.
tyrannical in a different way. They're still taxing people to pay for the Johnstown flood of 1889.
Believe me, I'm aggravated as all hell, and that's what brings me to tonight.
All right.
I wish Trump would stay the hell out of PA. You guys notice that he pays a hell of a lot of attention to Pennsylvania?
Nope, I don't pay any attention to Trump. So, every now and then I hear about Confivi or whatever, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'd like to break his damn Twitter finger. Actually, a lot of people probably would right now.
Actually, I think that's one of the most entertaining parts about Trump is the fact that he just kind of tweets whatever he wants. That's actually one of the things that I like about him. Yeah. I don't like a whole lot about Trump,
jackasses.
Huh?
So you like jackasses?
Yeah, jackasses can be fun.
Yeah,
Johnny Knoxville, Steve-O.
Stay the hell out of PA, and I'll tell you why too. Because the reality. Yeah, one of the things you got to watch with him is he only hits conservative districts. That's a very small portion of PA as a whole. I've made myself very clear the way my political stances are. My biggest problem with him is he spends a lot of time here. He spends more time. He was here again recently, like in the past, before this overseas trip. I'll tell you why. You know why he spends so much time here?
Why?
Well, because Pennsylvania is what I call the back door into the country. See, that's what's wrong with the whole secessionist movement.
I bet Pennsylvania wishes you'd stop that.
That didn't answer my question, or your question. You were going to explain to us why he spends so much time there. What is it being the back door to the country have anything to do with anything?
Well, if you look throughout the decades, Pennsylvania is very important, and you got 50 of these territories called state, and it's so damn important. Why? We don't have steel. We don't have anything anymore. I mean, most
Not
of the stuff
important to me.
gone.
I haven't been there since I was 10 years old.
There's still steel plants in Pennsylvania.
Isn't the Pittsburgh team called the Steelers?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's very little left. Believe me, I've been in and out of Best
so
Steel many times.
let's take your claim at face value, even though I don't necessarily believe it. Pennsylvania is super important. So again, why does
it is
Trump...
called the Keystone State. The Keystone's the thing that keeps the arch from falling apart. And something
actually,
backdoor.
it is. It goes back. Okay, it goes back to its role in the Civil War.
But what's that have to do with Trump? Come on, don't distract yourself from answering your own question, please.
The reason why is because there's a lot of power in Pennsylvania. Because Pennsylvania has...
How would that be the case with the president?
Okay,
he's already got enough power. How is
What's the
going
difference between
physically...
Virginia and Pennsylvania?
How...
You mentioned about a Commonwealth, right?
Huh?
Here's the difference. In Pennsylvania, you have the non-interference by the state. I see it every day of my life.
Huh? What are you talking about? Non-interference?
Okay, as an example, a state cop in Pennsylvania cannot negotiate with people of the Commonwealth. A Commonwealth cop can, say a Philly cop, or you go
negotiate how?
In any fashion.
They take you to court, and he's saying the state trooper can't make you a plea deal, but the Philadelphia beat cop can.
I don't believe it.
Well, no, what it comes
so what? Bunch of crap. And what does that have to do with Donald Trump visiting Pennsylvania?
Because this is one of the Pennsylvania has a non-interference with the state. The state can only interfere so much. They can take the people's money, and they can only do so much, but they cannot directly interfere with the people of the Commonwealth. When you
taking their money is interfering with them.
That's about the
weird little man.
That's about the maximum level of interference. Besides, them actually molesting you. What you would expect from the state. Your state is just the same, or Commonwealth, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Your group of strangers who are enforcing their beliefs on others at the threat of violence, whatever it is they call themselves, is about the same as every other state.
Yeah,
and you've not persuaded anyone, Ricky. You've persuaded no one to your point, whatever that is. Thank you for the call.
There was a point?
No. Some sort of thing about Donald Trump spending a lot of time in Pennsylvania because it's so important. He just has this narrative about Pennsylvania being the most important state and best state and so on and so forth.
Commonwealth that somehow is not subject to the United States Constitution, because he's thrown that out before. No, we're a Commonwealth, and Article 25 says that we're not subject to the U.S. Constitution. And I read Article 25, and it says nothing of the sort.
Yeah, regardless of all that, they are subject to the rankings of freedom in the 50 states by the Cato Institute, and Pennsylvania never having touched above 20, so it has never reached the top 2 quintiles of states. It has been average in the 3rd quintile all along. Pennsylvania is an average state in the United States for freedom. There is nothing special or remarkable, some imagined status as a commonwealth that Ricky might have.
It's where Ricky lives, so it's special.
Right. I mean, Ricky... Ricky, stay there, please. But it is not a special place as far as freedom goes.
Yeah. Well, Ricky's not a freedom seeker.
He acts like one. He talks to some extent like one, but then he's
not
like,
really.
And I'm voting for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what
he doesn't really make any sense, though.
Is a madman.
Yeah, Ricky doesn't make any coherent sense whatsoever. The words coming out of his mouth appear to be sentences, but the meaning behind them is very, very shallow, if there's anything whatsoever that you can discern from what he's saying. So you can join us here, but really, you can call about anything, and Ricky's proof. 855-450-FREE is our toll-free number, 855-450-3733. We'll be talking about this Catherine Forrest, this terrible, terrifying harridan of a judge in the Manhattan District.
Yes. Alleged penguin raper.
That's what I've heard. There's rumors going around about that. 855 450 free like freedom. You can take control of the airwaves and bring up anything you want. This is Free Talk Live.
Dash is digital cash, a digital currency designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy, fees are low, and transactions are confirmed instantly. Pay anyone, anywhere in the world, anytime, for just pennies on the dollar. Dash is the first digital money that's governed by its users. Join Dash and help us build a better financial system for everyone. Find out more at dash.org. That's dash.org. Do you want to help build a better financial system for everyone? Join Dash. Dash is digital cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy. Fees are low and transactions are confirmed instantly. Dash is decentralized, run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Help people take control over their financial future today. Find out more at dash.org.
Aging is one thing that affects everyone. George has talked about the power of stem cells for years. Now there's a new serum that harnesses that stem cell power to bring back your youthful look. Beverly Hills doctor Nathan Newman.
Stem cells are basically our fountain of youth. This is what maintains our body's reparative, regenerative abilities. As we age, every cell breaks down and needs to be replaced, and what replaces it is the stem cell.
Dr. Newman and Janess have developed Luminesce. Luminesce takes the science of stem cells, using the same growth factor complex that literally heals our cells, slowing the appearance of the aging process. Apply Luminesce twice daily, and on average, see results in a week. Learn more, watch our video, and order today at a special Coast website, healthylooking.com. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's healthylooking.com. Luminesce, for a healthier, much younger, better-looking you. Buy now at healthylooking.com.
Negotiation isn't just something union leaders and sports agents do. Your entire day is a series of negotiations. If you have young children, you know that. In fact, your kids can teach you a lot about negotiating with grown-ups. According to the world's greatest negotiator, Herb Cohen, author of You Can Negotiate Anything. Herb says that kids understand the process of decision-making within an organization. When one parent says no, they'll ask the other. And Cohen says children persist and persevere. And like smart negotiators of all ages, kids know that no is an opening bargaining position. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're a job seeker. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
We're back. We are back. It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want. Just dial on in toll-free here. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. Coming up, the latest on Catherine Forrest, the judge in the Silk Road case. Well, she's not going to stop doing her damage to Silk Road. She's going to be doing damage all over the place because that's what judges do. They rule in favor of the state and against freedoms. And in this case, she's attacking UPS. Oops, sorry, Darryl, I screwed that one up here. Let me unmute your
I am
microphone.
convinced that this woman is trying to get a promotion.
Well, most of these judges, lower judges, would love to get promoted, right? That's why they do what they do. They're trying to impress their masters and the state or federal governments.
It would not surprise me if in one of the next 2 or 3 Supreme Court openings, her name is not tossed around as a possible replacement.
Do you want to help build a better financial system for everyone? Join Dash. Dash is digital cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast, private, and easy. Fees are low, and transactions are fast and can even be confirmed instantly. You can pay anyone, anywhere in the world, anytime for just pennies on the dollar. Dash is decentralized and run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Anyone can invest in Dash and earn rewards for helping run the Dash network. Join Dash and help create a better financial system for everyone. Take back control over your financial future today. Find out more at Dash.org. There's a lot of momentum behind Dash right now. Go to Dash.org and find out why. As we go back to, actually, we'll get to your calls if you make them. You can bring up anything that you want. But let's go back to the story about Catherine Forrest, the judge who has now ruled that UPS has to pay, was it $247 million?
Yes.
To the state of New York and the city of New York.
Right, so the combined total to the state and the city is $247 million.
Because they shipped some little cigars.
Yes, and we'll get into the details. In her opinion, Judge Forrest wrote that the penalty needed to be substantial enough to send a message to UPS executives.
These are our children. I mean, there's no price that is too high for them. We have to keep them safe.
And the previous sentence here says that was also to serve as a deterrent to future bad conduct. Not necessarily bad conduct by UPS, just bad conduct, I guess, by anybody.
Right, she's sending a message, as she is wont to do.
Yeah, she wants UPS to enforce the tax laws of given municipalities, thus turning them into involuntary servants. This is the 13th Amendment is very clear that people in the United States should not be subject to involuntary servitude, but the government over and over again, think about your tax returns for a second, because they don't do themselves. You do accounting work for the Internal Revenue Service every single year, or you pay someone to do it. It's just insane how these judges can wrap their heads around this crap.
Quote, the court is convinced that modest penalties would not make a sufficient corporate impact on UPS as a whole. In March, Judge Forrest found UPS liable for illegally shipping hundreds of thousands of cartons of untaxed cigarettes among Indian reservations, unlicensed dealers, and individual consumers. Those shipments, the state claims, cost the state and the city millions in tax dollars and violated a 2005 agreement between the state and UPS not to ship cigarettes to unlicensed recipients. Judge Forrest chided UPS for having a corporate culture that promoted sales over compliance.
The government should be the highest priority, is what her opinion is.
Of course it is. Yes, this woman is a statist, an arch statist.
Oh, yes.
A woman willing to lie in order to fit into her paradigm.
You are only in business because we allow you to be, UPS. Right. You will do as we say or we will punish you.
Your shipping business, you didn't build that.
When handing down this huge penalty, she again criticized UPS's culture, saying that company officials had shown a, quote, lack of acceptance of responsibility for their actions at issue in the case. UPS said that it was extremely disappointed in the ruling.
Yeah, no
Susan
kidding.
Rosenberg, director of public relations at UPS, said the court's monetary award is excessive and far out of the bounds of constitutional limits, particularly given that the shipments at issue generated around $1 million in revenue.
Wow.
Not it was $1 million
profit
of tax that should have been paid. No. It was $1 million of revenue to UPS.
Which isn't even profit. That's just their revenue.
The ruling in the 2015 lawsuit.
We made $100,000 off of this, and now they have to pay, 240, whatever. I don't know what their profits are.
$165.8 million to New York State, $81.2 million to New York City.
Pretty soon, people are going to stop doing business in that state.
Yes.
I mean, it has gone from the third most populous state to the fourth most populous state in relatively recent history.
There's still a lot of business getting done in New York City.
It sure is, but it's just a terrible place to do it.
We're about to go there tomorrow.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand, and we're going to pay some amount of money to be there.
Yes,
taxes
we are.
And
pay
those
through the
sorts of
nose.
things.
The hotel room is going to be over $300, including taxes, just for one night.
Yep.
How high's the occupancy tax?
I
Oh,
think it was like $50.
Yeah, $40, $50, something like that. So, anyway, it's just disgusting because you know what's going to happen here is UPS, they're going to have to pass on the cost to their consumers. So all this woman did was she just increased the cost of shipping, which is already very expensive because of the cost of gas and, inflation and all that. She just jacked up the rates. Maybe they're only going to make the New York customers pay this, but I suspect it's going to be spread across the United States. So
probably
everybody who's shipping with UPS is now going to have to absorb these costs. It may only be a penny or two or whatever across the whole country, but they're going to increase prices. That's how this stuff gets dealt with. It's not like the UPS executives are going to turn out their pockets and shake some spare change on the floor to pay this fine. No, it's coming out of the company. It's coming out of the customers.
Yeah, well, it comes out of the rates. I mean, that's a choice you make when you choose to use UPS. I mean, isn't that the same thing you say about taxpayers? UPS isn't too big to fail. I don't think I don't think what you're making there is a particularly good argument. Corporations have to make profits, but if UPS had actually done something wrong, you wouldn't be arguing against a fine for them because
I'm against fines in general, because what needs to happen is if UPS did something wrong, like damaged a customer or something like that, or broke a package that they were shipping, then they have to make compensation to the individual that they wronged or the company that they wronged. Fines don't ever make anyone whole. Fines just enrich the government and encourage them to continue their terrible behavior. People should not pay fines.
Eric Schneiderman, the state attorney general in New York, says the $166 million coming to our state marks a win for New Yorkers and our public health. How the hell is this fine going to do anything to improve public health?
It's absurd. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Do we have some more brilliant quotes from these bureaucrats? Okay. 855-450-3733. Speaking of tax burdens, you talked about people leaving New York. How about people leaving the United States entirely? Well, we've got a look at some of those numbers coming up here on Free Talk Live with Ian, Darryl, and Mark.
In these uncertain times, it makes sense to have a sustainable backup method to cook food and boil water. If your current plan includes using a fuel-burning stove or cooking over an open fire, then there's a much better way. The Minuteman Rocket Stove is a biomass-burning cooking stove that only requires small quantities of sticks and twigs for fuel. The Minuteman Stove is easy to use, smokeless, portable, powerful, and sustainable. For the finest in survival cooking stoves and fire starters made right here in the USA, go to MinutemanStove.com. That's MinutemanStove.com.
Do you know what's lurking in your water? More than 200 contaminants could be sitting there, just waiting for your glass. With a ProPure water filter, start enjoying clean and great-tasting water today. ProPure filters, independently tested, latest water filter technology. ProPure systems do not require electricity and are easy to set up and easy to use. To find out more, visit your authorized ProPure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
Free Talk Live.
People, they like to complain about the idea that the money is taxpayer dollars. It's not really true, is it? I mean, they were your dollars until you gave them to the government.
Right.
Now they're their dollars, and they're going to do whatever the hell they damn well want to do with them.
You're right.
It is still your money in that if a thief comes and steals money from you,
doesn't cease to be yours just because they stole it.
You still have a claim on that, but you don't have the ability to control the thief unless you actually have him in your custody. So that thief is going to go out and buy a big screen TV or do whatever, spend it on coke and whores or whatever it is that thieves do with the money that they steal. And
that's what the politicians do with it.
Yeah, you can call the thief on the phone and say, "I told you not to spend that money on whores," and he's going to say, "Well, thanks for the input." Noted.
I appreciate that.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring Simon to the rally.
Walk with me.
Well,
I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video or audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Forget the road.
Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll free. Join us here. Our number 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, 855-450-3733. More people deciding to call it quits on the United States. And this is not new news. I mean, it's a new story. It was published 10 hours ago over at CNBC. But during the Barack Obama administration, people were leaving in droves.
And they increased the exit fee dramatically.
Yeah. And then now they're still leaving. We'll tell you more about that coming up here. It's Ian with you tonight.
And Darryl.
And Mark.
Also, I do want to remind you that if you want to help support Free Talk Live and get the stuff you want or need from Amazon, you just go to shop.freetalklive.com. There's some other links to other stores there like Walmart and some other stuff over at shop.freetalklive.com. But most people go through those Amazon links. There's Amazon US, UK, and Canada. You just click into the right Amazon for you and then get the stuff that you're looking for and feel good because Free Talk Live gets a good cut of each sale when you do that. So head on over to shop.freetalklive.com. More coming up here. Your calls and thoughts welcome. Let's start up with Sarah in New Mexico. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Sarah.
Yes, I was reading the local alibi paper here, and it was reported that our pedestrian fatality nationally went up by 11%. So 6,000 pedestrians were killed in America. But they say that the whole deal is that the cause is unknown.
Probably. Wait. Cause is unknown.
Cars.
People getting run over by cars is probably the number one cause of traffic or pedestrian fatalities.
Well, the thing is, okay, 11%, what does that mean? Okay, out of say 1,000 people were killed a year before, so 111 more people got killed. That's what it means, basically. So 11% more got killed, but they say the cause is unknown. I mean, they're speculating it's more of a cell phone usage. I know exactly why. Because we moved half of our red light cameras.
It's probably cell phone usage. I can tell you as a fireman that the deadliest things on the road are the lack of seatbelt use and cell phones.
I'll tell you something else that winds up leading to increased pedestrian fatalities is stupid college kids running out into the road thinking cars are just going to magically stop for them because there's a stop for pedestrian law.
Well, I was also told that worldwide, more people were killed by automobiles than any other thing. So the
smoking kills more people. Sorry.
What about alcohol?
What about the American foreign policy?
Heart attack?
Well, I mean, no, I'm talking about globally. Globally,
diarrhea,
people globally,
dysentery.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you're I'm sorry, way off on that one, Sarah.
Globally, they don't even have that many cars.
Yeah, a quick Google search would tell you what global causes of death. I'm pretty sure diarrhea is up there. Thank you for the call tonight. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Now, what is it that the lack of iodine does to you? Is it goiter?
I don't think that's what it is.
What is it? There's some sort of problem that the rest of the world, a lot of the rest of the world has because they don't have iodized salt. They don't have any iodine in their diet. And this leads to severe, like, some sort of health problem, and I'm forgetting what it is.
Goiter is mentioned.
Yeah, I feel like it's goiter. I don't know if that's a cause of death for those folks, but it definitely, is a problem out there. So you can call, comment, you can bring up whatever you want. Stefan is on the line.
So I've got the
yes.
Top from the WHO, top 10
world
causes of death. Ischemic heart disease, stroke, low respiratory infections, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, trachea, bronchitis, lung cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, diarrhea, tuberculosis, road injury.
Road injury at the very bottom
of the top 10.
And that would include people who are driving as well, and passengers in cars.
Correct.
In addition to the pedestrians. So thank you for sharing that. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. Stefan in Ohio, go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's on your mind tonight?
Yesterday, you guys were talking about basic income, and one of the arguments I always hear from people on the left is, well, we are going to need basic income because in the future, all of the jobs will be gone from automation. What do you make of that?
That's the claim. We discussed this in detail on last night's show. But, yeah, I mean, Darryl, you weren't on the show, so you want to take a crack at that question? Go ahead.
Repeat the question.
People say that we're going to need basic income one day because automation is going to get rid of all the readily available jobs.
That's just laughable because people are still going to have to, program the machines. And they said the same thing about, automation during the Industrial Revolution. Like, all of these machines are going to take all of the jobs. And, like the automotive industry was going to, take away all the jobs. But, there's still a group of people that want to have handmade wagons for some reason. There are still candle makers, even though there's this thing called electricity that makes lighting a lot more efficient.
I get what you're saying, but isn't it possible that, for the most part, that the vision, at the very least, that jobs will pretty much disappear in some distant future? Isn't that a possibility?
It's possible.
I would say that it is possible.
However, what they're asking us to do is predict the future. They're suggesting a premise and then asking you to predict the future about it. That is not the way we make government policy, people.
Well, and they're suggesting that you predict that future and then go ahead and make that policy right now based on it. Well, we're going to need this someday, so we need to have this. But hold on. The point I wanted to make was, even if it's true that the jobs go away, like, we would have this complete paradigm shift. It could happen. It's possible. How probable it is, we don't know. But even if that's possible,
the difference of how possible versus probable.
Let's just say it happens. that doesn't mean that the basic universal income is a good idea.
Right.
Even if all the jobs go away, you're not going to solve that problem, if it is a problem, with inflating the money supply, if money's even necessary at that point.
Right, and if there is, and I don't necessarily believe this, but if there is this, utopian sort of thing to where machines just do all the stuff, then why does anybody need money if
That's
the
right.
machines can just, replicate whatever?
Well, the claim from last night was that because Mark, you had I think a story about this, or maybe it was Johnson. Anyway, the basic idea was that essentially the reason you would need this is a transitionary kind of program, meaning that once you're post scarcity, once there's you can have a replicator with
There's
any
no
kind
scarcity.
of thing, then you don't need money there. But getting to that point, you're going to need to have money, and so therefore basic universal income.
Okay, so let's just allow things to happen naturally. But, this sort of thing, and it's not just this discussion. There are a lot of discussions where somebody starts with a premise, and then they'll basically throw it out and say, disprove my premise that you've never really considered before ever until I just threw it out to you right now.
And
you can't disprove it, therefore you're wrong.
Also, Star Trek isn't post-scarcity. They need dilithium crystals upon which to run the Enterprise or whatever. So therefore they still have this currency in dilithium crystals. I mean, they're more like bearer bonds than they are like loose change, in that they're very valuable rather than being sort of slightly valuable. Just because you can build a house for free, you can have all the snacks you want for free, you can power the house for free, doesn't mean that you don't have an impact on the environment. So then you have this fiat currency in pollution. So for instance, carbon dioxide, which you're exhaling on a regular basis, or whatever form of pollution the new more sustainable living units create, is still a form of currency in that you have to offset this stuff, blah, 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 blah. I mean, really, when you start looking at the future, the only real good solution is to harvest all the human heads and put them in a bag and throw them in a river. Right? Because we are, life is costly, and people just don't look at it any other way. I don't know. It's a mess. I don't know how to deal with this.
Stefan will let you respond.
One day robots are going to be here. So how am I supposed to deal with that?
Maybe Stefan has an answer to his own question as well. I don't know. We'll check back with him here in moments. You can share your thoughts with us. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, you can join us here on Free Talk Live.
Kofefe.
For P150, P150GA, P150NY, P150OK, P150TN, C250A, C250E, C250Q. Not available in all states. If New York or Colorado, call for a similar offer.
What's the scariest thing about going to the dentist? Opening your mouth or opening your wallet? Because just a simple cleaning can cost $100, and things like root canals can cost you hundreds more. If you don't have dental insurance to help, call Physicians Mutual Insurance Company, 1-800-972-1059. This isn't a discount plan or preventive-only coverage. This is real dental insurance that helps pay for checkups right away. So you can call today and get your teeth cleaned tomorrow. Plus, it helps cover the more expensive procedures you might need down the road. Fillings, crowns, bridges, even costly dentures. There's no deductible and no annual maximum. Your acceptance is guaranteed for one of these insurance policies, even if you're retired. There are no networks, so you can choose any dentist you'd like. Call now for a free information kit with all the details. 1-800-972-1059. That's 1-800-972-1059. 1-800-972-1059.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-765-9681 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-765-9681. Again, that's 800-765-9681.
So, I heard somebody say that 50 is the new 25. I mean, I can live with that, but isn't age just a number? I mean, if you feel good and look good, who cares about numbers anyway? I take care of myself, and, well, I use Nature's Youth RSF. From, you guessed it, Nature's Youth. Think of the money you spend on things that make you feel better for just a little bit, and then think of spending the same amount or less on something that can make you look and feel better for a lifetime. How about the facts? The ingredients in Nature's Youth RSF work naturally, providing just the right environment to support healthy HGH levels while maintaining homeostasis. RSF is non-toxic, and it doesn't contain any synthetic hormones, which can weaken your endocrine system. Simply add RSF to your sensible diet and exercise plan. You can, and will, thank me later. Forget about that aging number I mentioned and focus on the anti-aging number. 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and online at naturesyouth.com. Nature's Youth. Live your life.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You dial them in toll-free here and bring up whatever's on your mind. Our number is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, 855-450-3733. We've got Skype, so Skype on in here at username LRN.FM. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
And Mark.
And if you want to help support Free Talk Live, then please join the AMP program over at amp.freetalklive.com. It's $5 a month. And that gets you in the club, so to speak. You get access to special AMP-only perks like AMP-only call-in lines, AMP-only podcast, which doesn't have the regular commercials. Our normal podcast does. Not that our normal podcast has many commercials. It's way down from if you listen live. Yeah, if you listen live to the show, you get a lot more commercials because that's just kind of the radio model. But the podcast is a way to cut that down, and the AMP-only podcast cuts it down to only the stuff we talk about live, like this one. So you go to amp.freetalklive.com. You get signed up there. You can use any major credit card, PayPal, and Bitcoin as well. You get all those cool perks and more. Plus, you can help Free Talk Live, because basically what we're doing with that $5 is we're investing it into the show. We're using it to get on more radio stations around the country, bring new internet listeners on board. There's a discussion going on right now in the AMP-only Facebook group about, all right, well, we just recently split off the LRN satellite feeds into its own satellite fundraiser Patreon, which you can go and contribute to at patreon.lrn.fm. So now that we have a few, let's say, a couple few hundred extra dollars per month that we could spend on something else, what should it be? People seem to want to do some internet outreach. They wanted to, let's recruit new internet listeners for Free Talk Live, because we're done.
I can tend to think that internet listeners are, they tend to be more loyal, listen to the show longer,
tend to be more likely to contribute.
Yeah, contribute on a larger basis. There's that. Radio listeners are numerous and great, but. I could just say from doing this show for 15 years, it's the internet listeners that seem to be form the basis of our amplifiers.
That's not to say that we don't have great radio listeners who are dedicated to the show, but you guys sort of pay by listening to your radio stations and hearing all those commercials. And our internet listeners don't have to do that, and so they're more likely to give money directly to the show, and they're more likely to be libertarian and sort of support the message of this program. So one of the discussions going on now is, all right, well, if we're going to spend some money doing internet recruiting, which I think is a good idea, what should we do? And I'm still open to ideas. Some people said Facebook ads, and I'm like, oh my God, Facebook ads, really? I mean, that's the majority of what people are saying is we should advertise on Facebook. And we did that in the past, and I'll admit, I'm not a, ad online guru. Like, I'm the kind of guy who's like, throw some money at this, and then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I know there's people out there who tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak, and they try to make their ads.
I think if we could find one of those people, we'd probably do a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, I think that'd be cool. But ultimately, isn't it true that Facebook requires you to advertise Facebook? Like, you can promote your Facebook page on Facebook.
You can promote
a post.
I know you can promote a post. You can promote an event. But
all of that's Facebook oriented, right? Even if you're promoting a post with a link to the thing you actually want to promote, let's say this, in our case, the podcast, a way for people to listen to our show later on down online, they would still then see the post that was being promoted by your dollars, but then they'd still have to actually click on that promoted post in order to go to the podcast. Whereas, I don't know, it just doesn't seem as effective to me as like a Google AdWord or something like that. And even then, I still don't like throwing money at Google either. But I feel better about giving Google money than I do Facebook money. They just feel more useful to me in general. But what are some other options? Because these are like the easy options. Oh, you throw some money at Facebook, throw some money at Google. What else? Somebody suggested hiring somebody to cut clips of the show out and upload those to social media, which might be a more effective way.
And that's something that I believe the Young Turks do, to where they'll have short clips out of their longer show that get posted places, and then you post those shorter clips, and have those be the sponsored content thing.
Right, or at the very least, the clips will get shared more because the Facebook algorithm. And they're shorter, and the Facebook algorithm promotes Facebook videos. So if you upload that clip to the Facebook platform, it's more likely to get more shares than the YouTube version might.
Right. Well, here's the question that you have to ask: do you want to promote the Facebook page, or do you want to promote the YouTube channel?
Well, that's the thing. Facebook's more likely to promote their own content, so they're going to basically sort of down mod any YouTube posts that you make. The point would be to promote Free Talk Live.
Right, but if you post the YouTube video, you could do ads on YouTube to promote the YouTube video. Or if you post the video to Facebook, you could do Facebook ads to promote the Facebook video. So the question is, which of those two things would you rather be promoting?
Well, I'd rather be promoting the podcast personally, because that's really
it's easier to count.
Do. But I don't know. That's why I say I don't know what to do. So I'm interested in hearing ideas. If you want to contribute to that discussion, you can join the AMP program over at amp.freetalklive.com, and then we'll get you into the Facebook group there, ampamp.freetalklive.com. And if you don't have Facebook, you can just shoot us suggestions directly at ian@freetalklive.com or mark@freetalklive.com, and we will take those under advisement. Let's go back to Stefan in Ohio. You're back on Free Talk Live. Now, you had called to ask about this universal basic income discussion that we talked about the other night here on Free Talk Live, and as I said, I'm sure this is going to come up again and again as more robots are taking our jobs. More people are going to talk about this.
Did you hear that Mark Zuckerberg apparently was promoting UBI recently?
Right. Yep.
And now
Elon Musk.
Apparently now there is a Zuckerberg 2020 FEC
PAC
group.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting, because when I heard about that, I thought to myself, well, why would Mark Zuckerberg promote it? But then I thought about it, and it's like, then more people can stay at home and use Facebook.
Also, Mark Zuckerberg would, we would look at what have been the most successful campaigns in his lifetime, and he would probably look at Ron Paul and Bernie Sanders, right? And, I don't know what his political proclivities are, but if he
probably not a libertarian.
If he prefers Bernie Sanders, then he tries to look at, well, what did Bernie Sanders do wrong? And a couple of things that Bernie Sanders did wrong was being old and kind of cranky sounding. And so if he could do Bernie Sanders without the old and cranky, because Bernie Sanders can't help being 80, right?
That's right.
But if he can do it without doing the old and cranky thing, then he figures to himself, well, then I can be president, because Hillary Clinton almost was, and she basically had to cheat. We don't know what would have happened if she didn't cheat, sort of in the DNC, elections thing, but it was pretty close. So, yeah, it's a fair plan.
I'm sorry. I hate when people say that the Democratic primary was close, because it really was not.
Well,
the delegate count was very close if you do not include the superdelegates.
Well,
so that is a factual statement.
Would you consider 8 points to be close?
8 points is close.
That's close.
Yeah, that's 4 points change in sides.
But in a general election against two candidates, we would consider 8 points to be a substantial margin.
But
why don't we
again,
feel the same
you
about
don't know
primary?
what the effect of her stacking the deck from the get-go. And I'm not saying that she would have lost, but we don't know the effect.
And it's also not just the quote-unquote popular vote in the primaries that determines who the nominee is. It's the allocation of those delegates. And again, the delegate count, if you don't include the superdelegates, was incredibly close.
From what I'm looking at here, Bernie Sanders had 1,846, and Hillary had 2,205.
Are you including the superdelegates?
The superdelegates. That was the final tally.
That's just pledged.
Are you sure? Because the numbers that I saw was, when you subtracted out the superdelegates, it was a lot closer.
Like how close are we talking about? Like dozens of votes, or
I think it was dozens.
Here, let me see here. Together, Hillary Clinton had 2,205 pledged delegates, and Bernie Sanders had
weren't the superdelegates pledged to her because they were superdelegates?
Well, superdelegates give endorsements. So
No, superdelegates can say, I am pledged to.
Right, the Democratic Party isn't democratic. I mean, come on.
Right.
Just like the Republican Party doesn't believe in republics.
Right, that's how they stacked the deck against Bernie Sanders, was through this superdelegate thing.
To be fair, they didn't create the superdelegate thing to halt Bernie. The superdelegate thing had been in existence since
but that's
the
what
80s.
they used to stack the deck, because it's all the old school Dems who are on the Hillary side.
They used that, plus they gave favorable treatment to Hillary in giving her data that the DNC had, and they did not give some of that data to Bernie.
Out of time. Thanks, Stefan, for the call tonight. We'll see you tomorrow online. In the meantime, over at freetalklive.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement, and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network. LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, May 31st, 2017. Silver is trading at $17.35 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,265 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 1.3 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $2,256. Antiwar.com reports the most recent figures related to President Trump's proposed increase in Pentagon spending, along with cuts at the State Department, show the general national security budget of the United States rising once again, with the 2018 proposal in the ballpark of $1.1 trillion. Needless to say, that's the biggest military budget on the planet by a far measure. As the figures are broken down into their component parts, however, it becomes particularly shocking just how the money is disappearing, not just into the general warfighting budget, but into related cost of having such a massive military for so long. For interest, Veterans Affairs is expected to eat up $183.5 billion, which by itself comes very close to being the second largest military budget on the planet, just behind China's $200 billion overall cost for its vast military. Figuring in other retirement costs, the cost of retirees is even bigger. This $1.1 trillion also includes over $112 billion that just represents the interest on the military share of America's massive national debt. This interest alone would be more than the cost of NATO's next two largest member nations' militaries, Britain and France. Even cuts in international affairs don't really put a dent into how much the cost of everything else is rising, and with plans for a massive modernization scheme related to America's massive nuclear weapons arsenal, the $21.8 billion nuclear weapons expenses for 2018 could easily explode many-fold, with the expectation that they'll dump over $1 trillion just in the modernization scheme over the years to come. The cost of retirees and debt are likewise things that could rapidly grow out of control, as increases in the amount being spent on fighting in the present inevitably leads to even more retirees and an even vaster debt to service. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the U.S. Supreme Court issued a near-unanimous verdict on Tuesday that protected a Mexican immigrant from deportation. Juan Esquivel Quintana migrated to Sacramento, California with his parents in the year 2000 and became a lawful permanent resident. When he was 20 years old, he had consensual sex with his 16-year-old girlfriend and in 2009 pled no contest in a California court to unlawful sexual intercourse with a minor who is more than 3 years younger than the perpetrator. That conviction prompted deportation proceedings from the Department of Homeland Security. In ruling that Esquivel Quintana should be deported, an immigration judge said Esquivel Quintana's conviction met the federal definition of sexual abuse of a minor. The DOJ's Board of Immigration Appeals agreed with the judge's decision, saying Esquivel Quintana could be deported because the offense was an aggravated felony. An appeals court later denied his request to review the case, but the U.S. Supreme Court overruled those decisions on Tuesday, saying that the conviction did not qualify as sexual abuse of a minor because Esquivel Quintana's girlfriend was 16 at the time of the incident. Because the U.S. Supreme Court said the offense was not clearly defined in the Federal Immigration and Nationalization Act, Esquivel Quintana does not face deportation. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports an Ohio police officer who fatally shot a 12-year-old boy in 2014 was fired on Tuesday after an internal investigation found he provided inaccurate information on his application to join the police, according to city officials. Timothy Lohman, a rookie with the Cleveland Division of Police, shot Tamir Rice as he played in a playground with a toy gun that fired pellets in what was one of a string of killings that fueled protest against the use of deadly force by police in the U.S., particularly against minorities. Cleveland Director of Public Safety Michael McGrath said in a news conference, Patrol Officer Lohman had been charged with a rule violation concerning his application process to be considered a cadet with the Division of Police, specifically answers he provided on his personal history statement. This has been FPP Radio News. online at fppradio.com.
From 1941, when an amoeba became the first single-celled organism to play professional baseball, to 1794, when Thomas Jefferson more than likely did something historically significant. The Onion looks back at This Week in History. On May 25, 1925, Tennessee teacher John T. Scopes was formally indicted for teaching the theory of evolution in a public school after a monkey called to the stand failed to turn into a human.
Sir, you have been on the witness stand for a full 3 hours now. And in this time, we haven't seen you lose any of your hair or shed your tail. Can you at least articulate a single justifiable reason why Mr. Darwin's theory should even be mentioned in our nation's classrooms?
And on May 27, 1995, actor Christopher Reeve came in last place in a horseback riding event.
This is the Onion News Network.
And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Today, let us make them remember. We are not afraid!
Yeah, no fear. No fear, 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 no fear. Are you afeared? Are you afeared? Fear is wisdom. You know, fear of the Lord is wisdom. I remember that. There was a sign that was on the high school, the announcement things, the billboard they always have in front of schools. Our kids went to Phoenix Senior Christian High. 7th grade, 12th grade, we got religioned up. And it was a great school. We really enjoyed it, and the parents took care of business, and it was a good experience, and it was worth the sacrifice. But I tell you, there was one time that they had on the marquee up there, fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, or something like that. And it's a scripture that's in there, and I'm not sure there's the right context, but they left it up there for probably 2 months. For like half a year or something. It was ridiculous. And they dropped the kids off, and I go, were you feared enough yesterday? Doesn't look like it. They're not thinking you guys are feared enough. Well, you got to be afeared of the Lord. Afeared. I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing that they got to keep that up there? So if you got to use fear, you already lost, And that's what's happening. It's like, and last night was what? Come on, what was last night? Didn't you guys mark your calendar? Of course, Donna fell asleep. She fell asleep during everything. But the last night was the premiere of the 5th season of House of Cards. House of Cards. Has that been 5 seasons already? It is. Oh, One Nation under Wood. It's Underwood is the name of the president, right? So he's got to play the Trump character, or at least a caricature of him, or they're trying to something. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but it is, man, be afeared. You want to get reelected? Make sure everybody's afeared. Want to get reelected? Make sure you got a declaration of war. You want to get somebody elected? Manage it. So what they're doing is in the thing, it looks like they're wanting a declaration of war on a tactic. It's like it's like the war on terror, but they want an official declaration of war of some terrorist domestic group or something. So this is I was waiting for House of Cards. I'm going, yep, it's going to be good. You know, they're going to play. You know, it'd be like Alan Baldwin or Alec Baldwin, you know, playing Trump on Saturday Night Live. So I'm looking at this, and I'm trying to process how they're going to go for the rest of the season in the, I don't know, with the Trump administration as the background. Because Hollywood, or, you know, certainly the media, man, they don't miss a stroke here, you know. They're going to take advantage of. And I can see, and I think they're kind of making fun of it, you know, or at least, you know, bringing this up as a tactic. It's fear. It's always fear. Fear, 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 fear. Are you feared enough? I mean, it's not like we don't have enough, you know, reasons to be feared. But I tell you, the thing that is the most fearful for me, and, you know, in the first hour, this is what we're going to do. In the first hour, I'm going to go over the news and yak it because I can. And then in the second hour, we have Patrick Wood, you know, from technocracy.news, so that we can get feared more. Definitely feared. So he's republishing his book, Trilaterals Over Washington, Volume 1 and 2. And this is, you know, this is like, you know, get, you know, Richard Grove all freaking excited, man. You know, that he gets to talk to Patrick Wood because his books are some of the first stuff that kind of exposed, you know, who and what was doing what, and then what happened. Zbigniew Brzezinski died at 89, you know, finally. And, you know, when he died, you know, there's like stuff to be said. Of course, his daughter, was it Mika Brzezinski, is going to, you know, get married or engaged or have a relationship with Joe Scarborough on Morning Joe and MSNBC. And somebody, you know, Scott Horton told me she was his daughter. What, you didn't know that? I'm like, hell, how am I supposed to know this stuff? I don't watch these guys or care. And that's his daughter, and she's on, you know, you go looking up stuff. She's calling him dad on the air, and I'm going, ew. Well, of course she went into the media. You know, this is, ugh. So Patrick Wood is going to be talking, getting us updated on technocracy and their, you know, warp speed of they're going to, you know, turn us into automatons for the state, or just take automatons from the state and beat the crap out of us. So, you know, we'll see what happens there, what the future is. And then Ross Trumbull in the third hour is going to take a victory lap on HB 2014, which was Arizona passing, you know, it's very narrow. I mean, it's really, I mean, you know, but it is a step forward, and it got a lot of press, and Wall Street Journal, everybody, you know, noticed, which was kind of the point, is that when you hedge against inflation, you go, you know what, I'm taking out my retirement, I'm taking out, yeah, I'll pay the taxes, whatever, I know it's not going to be worth anything anyway, I already know where this goes, and I'm going to take all my money and I'm going to put it in silver or gold or both. So you put it over there, still down $17 and something. I'm going, silver'd be cheap. You know, I was talking to Tim Fry yesterday. Oh, have you working with Tim on scheduling a time to come on? Okay, so she's working on it. I talked to Tim. I said, yeah, we need to get you on, man. You know, the broker, Robertson Roberts, because he takes Bitcoin for silver and gold as precious metals. And I'm going, yeah, Bitcoin's up to, you know, strata whatever the hell, you know, over $2,000, oh my God. And people cashing in some Bitcoin, get them some silver they can McDuck and roll around in. Are they doing that? Not so much, because they're selling. You know, people, they need to, you know, I had a guy come in with a bunch, you need a new roof, or got to do this, or got to do that, or something at 17. I'm like, damn, man, if they're selling at 17 something, they're kind of damn. Well, they probably, you know, bought it less. But, I mean, with inflation and everything, I just hold on to the silver, because someday, well, that someday is going to be, you know, someday not too many. Well, one day closer, I can tell you that, you know, to where the someday is. And we've seen it just in recent years where it went to, God, what was it, something stupid. It was 48. You know, what was the high on silver? 48 at one time. Remember, little silver dimes were like $3.80, $4.20 something. I mean, it was a, you know, yeah, I remember they were like $4 a piece or something, you know, for a little silver dime that now are $1 or something. But, oh, dime a dozen.info. Yeah, we got that one for our eggs. Dime a dozen. Yeah, if it's silver dime, I give you a dozen eggs that cost normally $6-7, you know, for these organic, you know, they're out in backfield eggs. You know, oh, we lost a chicken, too, you know. Probably a couple of days ago, could kind of smell back there behind the shed, you know. But yeah, it gets hot, you know. Some of the older ones start to go, you know. That's how kind of nature weeds them out, you know. But we have to have, you know, misters back there in the desert because they get hot. Well, this is the debt I think, is what's going to make us afeared. This is, if you had something to be afraid of, it's going to be when this, they're really talking about, is the debt bubble going? Is it sovereign debt around the nations and all the kind of debt? But, we just print more money. Money, we got more money. Oh, you'll still take this paper money we just printed? Okay, we'll print more of it. Tired of taking it? What else you going to do? I got some more. Print some more money. We'll give them that loan. Here, have a car. Take a car. Make it. Like a little baby bird and shove this car down your throat. Have a car. And these are all, it's all going to come unraveled. Are you going to be afraid? Or are you going to be prepared? What's one of the top stories when we come back? What is the best location for a cache on your property? Cache of what? Cache or something, All right, we'll go over this and some of the other stories when we come back. And if we understand it, maybe we prepare for it, we won't be so afraid. I vote not so much fear.
This is Donna Hancock with Silver Alliance Realty in Phoenix, Arizona, and I specialize in helping you find the real estate that fits your needs. Whether you are looking to purchase a home or a piece of land, whether it's in town or a rural setting, I can help you find exactly what you are looking for. Most of us are aware of the turbulent times ahead and will need to settle in a place that will suit our particular desires, not only to protect our families, but to thrive in the coming downturn of the economy. Unfortunately, that time is not in the future, but it is upon us, and if you are going to get ahead of the game, now is the time to prepare. Qualifying options for new loans are narrowing, the dollar is being devalued every day, and living expenses are on the rise. So I have created a useful tool on my webpage at donnahancock.com that will allow you to search for properties at your leisure that are of interest to you. Simply click on the Search MLS tab at the top of my webpage to begin your search today. Start preparing for your future, and when you are ready to move forward with your home or land buying purchase, we can work together to get you and your family ready to flourish. Feel free to call or text me at 602-828-1819. That's 602-828-1819, and let's get started today.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu. 641-793-9660.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com, advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Roads? It's the Ernest Hancock Show. Where we're going, there aren't any roads.
What the heck was that? Okay? What is that made of?
Avocado, cucumber, tuna, cilantro, onion. I don't know.
So
oil and vinegar.
So I had to pick between that and starve.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to starve.
I go hungry.
I just want to sit here and eat in front of you, so I offered you what I'm having.
I love you. Have this.
It's healthy.
You know why it's healthy? I'll tell you why. Because when you eat less, it's healthy. That makes you eat less. You know, it's just, I mean, if I was starving and I have nothing that, okay, this is the kind of stuff we were eating in Panama, all right, which was good for us, and it's good. It satiated you, and you weren't hungry and later and everything. But, you know, where's the MSG, man? Where's the neurotoxin? Where's the make me want to take another bite?
It's not in here.
It's not making me want to take another bite.
Yeah, well.
Lose weight.
Yeah, well.
Now you lose weight. Don't take another bite.
You don't eat.
Yeah, no, you know, yeah, we're doing pretty good. You know, keep losing weight. It's time. Because I got to get in my, a pirate suit. I got to be, Captain Mark is kind of like a fictitious character. I'm not sure anybody will be Captain Mark. I'm not sure, Dobby and I will talk about it when we get back, but as you start looking throughout history of pirates and naval life and so on, the person that was really the guy was the quartermaster, and I didn't understand what the quartermaster did. The quartermaster became part of the British Navy and so on after it was a understood and well important part of pirate life. Pirate life, what they did is they would elect a quartermaster. There's a whole bunch of voting going on in pirates. This democracy thing, let me put it this way. If you're a captain of a ship and you got a bunch of pirates that don't like you with swords and guns and stuff, yeah, you didn't make it so much. So you wanted to have support. So what they did is the captain originally would, divide the spoils and, dish out the punishment. And if you're a butthead, even certainly to, a significant minority, they just kill you, So you had to have support, and everybody, kind of be in support of the support. So you had to have legitimacy, all right? You got to be, if you're going to be Captain Trump, you better have somebody on your side. So then you got the quartermaster. Well, the quartermaster is who they go to. That is the person that you have a contract, a constitution that you would sign on to a ship, to their ship code, the pirate code of that ship. And then they had kind of a universal one when ships met each other. And it was from that experience to where they had this quartermaster would, divvy out punishment, and you'd have it kind of written down of whatever, if you held booty or if you fell asleep on your watch, or, all these kind of things. And it was more regimented. The punishment was, not so arbitrary. And the people would elect their quartermaster also, and they would represent the crew, and they would be the buffer between them and the captain. But when it came to you're in battle, they had the most captain. It was Captain somebody was in charge of freaking, do that, and do that, because we want to win and don't die and stuff. So they just did it. After the battle, before they're in battle, that it was a totally different thing. And I'm going, these are very interesting. And I read the economics of pirates. They've done all studies and papers that are starting to come out that Dobby's been, going over and filtering and sending to me, and I've been reading. I'm going, this is fascinating. And that's one thing we'll be talking at the Breakfast Club is Ross Trumbull that's coming on in the third hour today. That's what the primary Breakfast Club is going to be on the Arizona legislative session, kind of the stuff that got passed along with the gold thing. And all it did, this gold bill, all it did was, you can go, you need to eat that in front of me. I mean, ew. Seriously. Now, repeat what's in that. Okay, everybody take and put little piles of this in your mind in front of you, all right? And then you're going to mix it together. Okay, what is it?
Avocado.
Avocado. I'm not a big giant avocado fan to begin with. Yeah, cucumber.
Cucumber, right. Cilantro, onion, tuna.
So it's like
a little bit of vinegar.
Fishy vegetables with vinegar
Pepper.
on it. Where'd you even come up with that
Lemon
combination?
Juice.
You just
I
make
don't know.
it up?
It was a recipe.
No, really? Somebody wrote that down as on purpose?
It came across something. I don't know. When I find something because I like everything that's in here, when I find something like that, I just try it out because you never know.
Everything that's in there, usually individually, as something, like last night. I tell you, what's happened since we've been back from Panama, I'm just not hungry. I mean, I don't want anything. I just kind of, I'm just, because you get all that chemical stuff off, and we eat pretty good. Normally,
Generally, we don't eat that much when people are around here.
Oh yeah, that's right. When we got, it's like when we got company. I'm like, woo, I get some. What we gonna have? And then you got enough for a couple of days, and then you gain a pound. So, I do the juicing. Donna juices for me in the morning, and then Budwig, which is kind of a it's flaxseed oil and no-fat cottage cheese, and you mix it, and it tastes like cardboard, and then you add some, honey and vanilla and cinnamon and everything. And it's good for you. It's makes you more alkaline, and it oxygenates in your blood, and it kind of like anti-cancer thing, and so on. But we haven't done that for a few weeks because I was trying, because it is kind of heavy, And what we do instead?
Eggs.
Oh yeah.
We have all these eggs.
And I'm going, I just feel like I need some more protein. Let's just do some of these eggs. These eggs are yummy. I mean, they're not even the same. If you haven't had Donna eggs, you know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah, because they're not just like sort of have a little bit of space to run. They got a lot of space to run. So they're healthy. They have good muscle tone. They eat all kinds of bugs back there, which is what they're supposed to eat. They're healthy.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you got the dead chicken, and they were like over there, honoring them by eating all his bugs.
Getting the maggots, whatever.
You left that there an extra day, man. You need to, go get some. So, we kind of eat our chickens. It goes through levels. And on the farm.
Hey, protein's protein, right?
But the eggs are just really orange and tight and high. It's almost like a ball, and it's just, they taste so different, especially when you get, sunny side up or over easy. And they're healthy chickens. We don't have any problems. And what happens is that taste, it coats like the fat or something. It just coats your tongue. Your entire tongue is like painted with nutrition, and you can feel it. And it's an experience that you go to the store and you get, these are, free range chickens, or what their definition is. That's why I hate this organic thing. The definition is, what they change the definition to, the chickens, and they say that they're...
Oh, free range, where they get like a foot or two to run around in or something?
No,
I don't know.
See, the thing is they were just like, boxed in. They were just like these living boxes. There's a head stick out. And all they do is eat and poop and make eggs until they didn't, and they're gone.